Night Owls.
Turn on Night Owls.
From Sky News, I'm Tanya Snuggs.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And now, the forerunner to Facebook, where your words tell 1,000 Instagrams. Use your phone for making that call. And get talking across the northeast, please. Because this is Night Owls with Alan Robson.
Hello and greetings. Welcome, everybody. Hope you've had a glorious week. Thank you so much for joining me this Sunday evening. Sky's getting a little darker as we head into what we hope will be a fabulous summer for each and every one of you. Tonight we are setting you a challenge like we always do. Tonight it is We Are Greatest Hits, so kind of named after a greatest hit. 10cc. The things we do for love. What kind of things have you done for love?
Took God knows how many police officers to get him out. They showed him the mace spray. Do you want this again? Because he'd already had it in his face. He's had 2 bottles in his face before to get him arrested. And anyways, they got arrested him. They got him out. They took him down to the police station.
Romance in Newcastle's not like it was.
All that on Valentine's Day.
There you go. Took his girl out for Valentine's Day, ends up getting arrested. Also, love is one of those things. I'm not talking necessarily even about the love between a person and their partner, whatever that is deemed to be in 2021. It's the love of a family, the love of a friend, the things you have done for love. For other people, what do you do because you love someone? If you're in a relationship, you will do stuff all the time for one another, and sometimes it becomes almost habitual rather than what you choose to do. Do tell, what are the things you do for love? Sometimes you've got to tell your mum, what kind of personal things?
I got crabs.
Right.
But it wasn't on the sexual nature. I don't know how I caught them. At the time I wasn't with anybody.
They can jump a foot off a toilet seat, that's what I've heard.
Well, that's what I thought. I'd caught them on a toilet seat.
Right.
So what is at the time I was living at my mother's when I was in my 20s, and I thought, I kind of couldn't fathom out what this is. And I had to ask my mum, do us a favour, will you have a look to see what this is? And all I got is, you dirty, dirty boy. And I was like, oh, hey, Mum, I'm embarrassed as it is, but who else am I going to turn to? I can't go to my dad. I can't go there. But the worst thing, my mum was my best friend at the time. Yeah. And like I say, she took it on the chin. And she went, don't ever do that to me again.
And I can remember when I was a little boy, and I don't know how many of you can go back and have memories when you were like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I remember once coming home from school with a sore bum. I was 5, 6, probably from sliding down a hill on a plastic bag like we used to do. And my mother says, well, take your trousers off, take your underpants off. And you'd lie over your mum's lap and she'd check you out, because mums do it. Because mums love you. Ridiculous. So tell me all of the things you've done and the things maybe your parents have done for love. Some people think getting a tattoo might help.
If I don't get this tattoo, it means I don't love him as much as he loves me.
No, it means you don't want to decorate your body permanently, that's all. That's why you use makeup, because it washes off. Ah, dear. But if I don't get a tattoo, it means I don't love him. Okay. And sometimes a member of your family or a close friend gets into a relationship where you feel you've got to say something about it.
My sister is just demented. She's saying, well, you don't know nothing about him. He's killed his first wife. He's out of prison on parole and all this, that and another.
How did he kill his first wife?
Shot her.
And he went to prison for it?
He'd been to prison for it.
And now she's gone across there, chatted him up, and after 3 days, she wants to marry him and go and live in America with this murderer.
Yeah.
Is she crackers or something?
My sister's, she's demented, my sister, because she took a little girl with her and all. She's got a little girl, and a little girl's only 5.
I think it's one thing risking your own life, but that's madness.
Madness, isn't it?
And it's easy to see when you're not in the relationship. Because I remember having a major love affair. I felt I was genuinely in love when I was about 8, 9 year old. I remember I was saying, oh, it's not proper love, it's not real love. But it felt like it was. I was 8 and she was lovely. And you know, love then was just holding hands. It wasn't even kissing. It was just holding hands and saying that you had somebody who was your girlfriend. And it was cool. Made you feel, wow. Still does. 0191 488 3188. Who said romance was dead?
He wouldn't even stand in the ice cream van queue and get an ice cream.
Give.
And I was sweating. You was sweating, I was. I went on holiday for a bit. I went there for a bit respite, you know.
Yeah.
Respite. I nearly got frostbite. It was freezing. Jackie, shut up. That you reckon you're a hypophobic. Hypophobic. You're a hypophobic.
Do you still love each other?
Oh, of course I still love her. Otherwise I wouldn't be. That's a lie, Daddy. He never tells me. He knows me.
Do you tell him you love him, though?
Yes, telling the truth, you never see it. Johnny, I love you on your birthday, remember?
So what do you do on their birthday, then, if, you know, the things you do for love? That's what we want to know. Give us a call right now. 0191 488 3188. Pick up your telephone, give us a call. There's a lot we want to talk about tonight, but the things we do for love. Okay. Got another great competition. 4 clues towards a competition to win one of our mugs as well. Apparently they're trying to hunt out the person who leaked that photograph of Matt Hancock kissing his associate. And they say that whoever leaked it is breaking the Official Secrets Act and could go to prison if they find out who it was. Well, who's got access to the CCTV cameras? And also, MPs cheat. And the one thing that's come out of this that I think is really sad, and I know that apparently Matt Hancock on Thursday night, hearing it was all going to blow up in the press on the Friday, he got tipped off, went home to his wife and dumped her and said he wasn't going to live with her and the kids anymore. And all of this was going to happen the next day, and her life and the children would be under a microscope for the next however many months. Dirty, nasty. If he wanted to knock around with somebody else, just say first, before you do the leaping into the dark, take care of business at home and be honest. There's nothing worse than a scummy cheat. And once they're a cheat, they're always a cheat. I don't believe that they can recover, these creatures. I really don't. It's only a matter of time. 0191 488 3188. Or do you know better? If so, give me a call. Tell me about it. What a story. I heard, just in conversation, somebody said that a young girl has fallen pregnant aged 10. And I said, I bet that's in Britain. And yes, of course, it's in Britain. She's just given birth, aged 11. And I know the parents, well, I can't control her when she's out there. What's happened to just teaching kids that... In America, they taught kids, and whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, you guys can debate. They taught them how to toy with each other and how to give each other pleasure without having sex. Will they still? Well, maybe. Are they more likely then to take precautions? Yes, you would think, because they've been talked to about it. Instead, I think most parents just ignore the subject completely and hope for the best, which is not really the responsible thing to do. What were you told when you were little about the Boyds and the Bees? 0191 488 3188. Get your calls in. What else are we talking about? I got a long email, came in on Thursday. It says, Alan, I have an eating disorder. I want to eat, I just can't. I feel full after eating next to nothing, and I end up having a bit of cake or some sweets instead of having a proper meal. Is there a way around that? And what is the worst thing that you ever fought off? You know, was it a dog? Was it a cat? Did you fight off an angry rabbit, a rat? A big spider that was going for you? A person? What's the worst thing you've ever fought off? I mention this because there's that story that came out in all the newspapers today about the twins, where two girls, one girl got grabbed by a crocodile, and the other twin girl dove in, both gorgeous looking ladies, dove in to rescue her sister from the crocodile. This, in the news today, after last night I watched the film Crawl, which is brilliant, all about alligators. If you haven't seen it, look it up, check it out, watch it. Crawl, very good. It's one of them films. It's one of them. Really good. Also, I think people are taking the mickey. £20 under a pillow for a tooth, paid for by the tooth fairy. Woo! I can remember when that was 10 pence, and it went up to 50, and everybody thought we're quids in. 20 quid a tooth. There'll be kids going round with just gums for that kind of money. Tell me your stories of the tooth fairy. Do you have a benefit? Also, Andrew Marr caught COVID after having both jabs. Nobody's mentioned that kind of thing. Scientists disagree that there's an Indian variant. They say that's just being put around so the government can keep the controls for a bit longer. Who knows? A lot of what we've been told, I think, over the years has been baloney. Also, when your partner admits cheating. Now, this has all come to light because of Matt Hancock. One lady said that her husband has just admitted that he's cheated on her, but it was 5 years ago and it was a mistake. Can you still forgive, even though it's 5 years ago? They're having alcohol-free weddings in the south. That's got to be the weirdest thing, especially to do after the wedding. What'd you like? Fruit juice? A water? Coca-Cola? Not the same, eh? 11 pints of Gussic's Old Original, please. And a couple get a fine in a car park. They didn't have the right pass for their car that you've got to pick up from shops, and all the shops were shut. It was a Sunday. So they left the money and a tip on the windscreen of the car park. And when they came back, they still had a ticket. I was in Sea Houses again, because I like Sea Houses, this week. Parked right on the front, and as I parked, somebody tapped on the window and gave me an all-day ticket. Said, "Oh, we've had enough for today. We've been here a few hours. Here's an all-day ticket. You don't need to buy it." I thought, "Oh, is that nice?" 2 minutes later, somebody else knocked on the window and said, "There's still 2 hours on this ticket." Now, I had 2 free tickets. So when the next car came in, you pass on the joy, and I gave the all-day ticket to a family that just pulled in from Scotland, I think. So I've had very different experiences. Tell me your car park experiences, dear. And a chef ridiculed for presenting meat-free steak. It was made of bread, and we would call it toast. It was always better in the dark. Kenny, step forward. Kenny's with us tonight now. And again, Kenny's been all over the world with me doing all kinds of things. And the one thing that we seem to share is we were both huge skeptics at the very beginning. Totally. And now we're batting for the complete opposite side. Totally. And maybe we can persuade a few of you to see our point of view too. After the things that we've seen, we want to show you. Kenny, swap our places with Tony. Award-winning producer Tony Hollywood McShane. There you go. Is also here too. Before every trip, I know we're still in. Yeah, it's mosquitoes. We're in Midgeyland again. You've won a lot of awards, and you've travelled all over the place doing all kinds of ghosty everything, hab-nabs too. And yet the ghost that he saw, the only one that he's seen a full-figure apparition, was actually up the coast in Bamborough. So that's the three of us. We're going to take you around, but the important thing is you guys. And don't forget, share, share, share. And if you do share, a Night Owl badge could be yours. There you go. A very fine Night Owl badge. And if you fancy winning one, just share it. And don't just share it with your immediate friends. Share it with everybody on your Facebook and your social media sites to the left and to the right. We need to build up our numbers. We need more supporters coming on board, and we'd love you to be one of them. We already got the loyalist bunch, but we want more. We want to conquer the world. Now, why are we here up a lane like 1,000 of others in the north? If you see the camera moving around, it's because behind the camera, Tony's...
I'm being attacked by something.
There.
Something is attacking us.
Well, so it should. Now, the thing is, you drive up these kind of roads, especially this time of year when you're looking for things to do. And I'm going to take you to a place that you can actually come and do things. But you would drive up here, and if you look to your right-hand side, you'll see fields, and in the distance, maybe the red lights of cars on the A1. That is the A1, the main road that cuts right the way through the entire north. I don't know. Can you make out any cars on it?
No, not really.
Not really. However, these kind of little slow, tiny roads, you know, the ones that you can't get two vehicles past, so you've got to have spaces like this, passing places where you can pull over to allow a vehicle to go up. They're all over the north, and they hide things. Come with me, because Kenny, you go through first. You're carrying all our tools at the moment. Watch your step. Yeah. And through here, you would look at that vista there. What does it look like to you? Could you picture on that building at the far side, could you picture a machine gun tower? Or maybe a huge searchlight on that building at the far left of your screen right now? Yeah, there's some energy towers to the right-hand side of it. And that long building, well, it's just a farmer's shed, isn't it? Where he probably keeps his cows, a buyer. You couldn't be further from the truth. One of these buildings is a morgue. That building that you can see on the right used to be a hospital during World War II. The airfield, which is that way, where the sun is setting in the distance, although it doesn't show so well on camera, sadly. It looks quite dynamic in real life. And it's along lanes like this that jeeps and ambulances used to come. And this place is said to be particularly haunted. And there's one story that's synonymous with it. We have an airfield with floating energies and amazing stories. Tell you them in the second half. I'm saving all of them because the Northeast is famous for a lot of things. Kenny, I know that you're a big, like, World War II. That was your history time, really. Because you've always been interested in it.
I always have done.
But did you know where the first ever German bombs in Britain landed?
I wouldn't have a clue.
The first ever place was in the Northeast.
Never.
South Bank, Middlesbrough.
Right.
Very first bombs ever. And they thought it was the Tyne. And they dropped the bombs on the Tees instead. And obviously Teesside, Wearside, Tyneside, all shipbuilding.
Yeah, of course.
Building munitions and what have you.
Targets on them.
Absolutely. And the other first, and I'll tell you the full story in part 2, involves the very first German plane ever to be shot down in the north. Where did it land?
It's got to be somewhere near here, is it?
30 feet from the Ridley Arms, Stannington Village.
No way.
How come we don't know this kind of stuff?
super cool. But we're not here for the history. History comes later. This is what it's all about. You see that dark building with the open door? That's the mortuary. That's the morgue where bodies were laid out. Planes would crash. Planes would come back with injured pilots. Also, of course, the Germans were trying to bomb the air bases, and people that were injured, wounded, would be taken to the hospital. That's that one. And if they were unlucky, they'd end up in the middle one.
Is this the hospital?
So the hospital was that building at the far side. This whole area here was actually where you could put vehicles of any kind, and of course they had a lot of military vehicles flying around. Ambulances would be parked in this area, and although part of it did have a roof on at one point, a lot of it was just open so that they had something solid to park ambulances on. Rather
picture it, can't you, as well?
Absolutely.
I mean, that wouldn't have changed really that much.
This is, apart from a coat of paint and maybe there's a new door on the odd window, much of this is the same. And you can hear, air raid sirens. You can imagine planes coming in and landing in the nearby field, because the aerodrome that we're talking about used to have that field and the two fields over the top. And then there's a huge A-shaped airfield that's still in existence. We're going to go there at half time. We're going to do the airbase with the deathly phantoms that drift across the airfield. That's what we want to see tonight. However, this is the place of the ghost children. So share. Get this out to everybody that you know. And I don't fully understand the Facebook thing, but Tony, you were saying that we had to do it so that everybody told everybody on there.
Yeah, if you just share it to your own feed, then all your friends and family will see it.
Great.
When you think, this was only 70 odd years ago when this was happening.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Now I know they've changed this building into a water tower for like local houses and farms. This thing here, that thing on the top, I believe, is holding stores water. However, back in the day, that would be overlooking an airfield, and they'd be watching the skies to make sure that there was no enemy planes, and there was many. And that's my stories from the next hour. But going around here, it's just so. And I know that the mortuary is going to be. Oh, and the one thing I haven't told you about is the tomb. We're going underground, round the corner into the tomb, and we'll be able to take you with us. And if that's not enough, we also have a night vision camera. We're going to be doing the whole night vision stuff, and supporters will be able to see all of the night vision, as well as the debrief, the drone footage, and all the other stuff that we do. So it's well worth your while joining, not just for like one more hour. You don't just get the extra hour, you get all the hour. There you go. Alan Robson with you. Blimey, good to have you with us. Let's get cracking. So much to talk about. We are kicking off with Kay, who's in Low Fell. Hi, Kay.
Hiya, Alan. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for ringing in. What's your story about?
I think the last time I was just on about like things that I used to do when my dad was still here.
Right.
And it was things that they didn't know about, so it was a bit naughty.
Right. Uh-huh.
Like when my mum and dad went away on holiday and left me in charge of the house, and I decided to have a party.
Dum, dum, dum. Fatal move. They always, why do they always trust a teenager? Do they not realise what teenagers were? Good gracious.
I know. And it was like, but we'd had this party and everything, and it was great. Everyone left.
Yeah.
And then the first thing my dad did when he came back was look in the ashtray, and he just went, there was one stub, and he went, so who you had in here? There was me thinking I had covered the evidence, about this party. Nobody would know about it.
Uh-huh.
And he just he knew straight away.
Right. I mean, but parents did, because I remember having a party, because I hated going away with me mum. In retrospect, I love Scotland so much, and they were mad Scots visitors. Every year they'd get in a car. My dad didn't have one, but his best friend did, and they went as like a foursome up to Scotland to stay in places. And I always felt like I was the fifth wheel on the cart. So it was like, just you go and have a lovely time. leave me a couple of quid so I can go to the pictures, buy sweets, read comics. I'm happy at home. Don't put me through all of that. So they eventually got around to doing it. But of course you're gonna. It's always one of those things where they say, "Did you fancy coming around on Friday?" And we'll, right, and then that's 4 of you. That's the plan. And then they tell somebody, then they tell somebody. And then it's, have you got enough booze? And you go, haven't got any booze? What? I'll get some. And then the dance begins. But parents have a sixth sense. They know what's going on. But they're trying to protect you because that is one of the things you do for love. You try and protect your young'uns. I mean, as a parent, are you a parent now?
I am, and we're just out driving at the minute, Alan. We're just getting home.
Right, wonderful.
He's got his driving test on Tuesday, so we're just out and about.
Oh, hey, good luck. What's his name?
Dominic.
Good luck, Dominic. Bring it home. That's fantastic. It's exciting but scary. How good is he?
He's brilliant.
Really?
Yeah, he's already done one driving test, and all he had was 1 mark on it.
Right.
So we're hoping this time on Tuesday he's going to fly through it again.
Well, I hope so. Took me 3, so if he gets through this time, he certainly walloped me. There you go, which is good news. No, I always think that driving examiners, not so much your instructors, because I think they're all right. Driving examiners, I think it's also a bit of a personality competition. You've got to be nice and happy and like them and interact with them, and it becomes more than just a test. But good luck to him. I'm sure if he's as good as you say, he'll fly it. Just with me, my first test, we got to a junction. I did it in Blythe. Why Blythe? I have no idea. It's just where they sent me. Went to Blythe and came to a junction just down from a cemetery. It was like a main road. And you wait for the right time to pull out. Busy road, cars coming both ways. And I was just about to go, and I actually heard the examiner go, and I was thinking, maybe he's not quite yet. I'll just wait one more. Just wait one more. Then I pulled out after I was there about 3-4 minutes, which is a long time to be at a junction. And that's what I failed for hanging around too long, for being overcautious, he said. But he tutted. He set me up with a tut. That's what he did. So, but I hope it works out for him. What about you? I mean, did you pass first time?
Oh, yes, I passed first time, but everybody said it was because I had my short skirt on and my makeup and my hair done.
That's what every man says when it took him 3 times to pass.
I know, and I passed the first time, but everyone said it's just because you had your short skirt on, But
I don't believe it.
I mean, I've been driving for a long time. I've had about 25 cars in my lifetime.
Brilliant.
I'm a car person.
What's your car called then? You'll have a name.
Oh, Mitch.
Why Mitch?
Because Mitchell after me granda.
Right. And is the car a bit of a Mitch?
Well, it's an Insignia.
Right. Oh, no, but I mean, does it feel to have similar qualities like your Gramps?
I don't know. All my cars are Mitch. Every single one. I just everything I have to have something that I can see is
it's a Mitch.
Like my granddad's name. Yeah.
What a great way to remember him, though. That's tremendous. That's pretty good. So what's the greatest thing you've ever done for love, would you say then, Kim?
Marry my husband. This husband, my second one.
Let me just point out, not him, this current one. Come on. The current holder of the title. That's the thing. Got to be careful.
Mr. James Ditchburn.
Oh, that's wonderful. There you go. Fantastic.
Oh, he's great.
Well, stay in love, stay joyous, Kay. Lovely hearing from you. And
I know.
Good, Dominic. That's the thing. Thanks for calling.
Right, thanks.
Cheers, love. Bye-bye. Oh, driving home. Dominic driving home. Great stuff. Were you that confident when you did your test? One of my instructors said that the examiner will get out and put a matchbox behind the back wheel of your car when you're parked on a hill to make sure you don't roll backwards when you're driving off. And I spent weeks rehearsing in essentially flattening matchboxes left, right and centre. What kind of things did your examiners tell you, or members of your family? Because quite often, in that case, like Kay, out teaching members of the family how to get on. 0191 488 3188. Jonathan is with us in Allendale. Hello, Jonathan.
How are you doing, Alan?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much for your call. What are you talking about tonight?
I'm ringing up about a ghost hunt I did in concert.
Oh, brilliant.
At the Empire Theatre.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
How was it?
Quite a few. It was really good, actually.
Great.
We were only there for 4 hours, but we caught so much.
Like what? What was the most vivid things you got?
So, well, I mean, it was back in the day when digital cameras were sort of in their infancy.
Right, yes.
And we took a photo of the projection room, and there was a figure.
Wow. I mean, that's as good as you can get. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and there was also orbs as well.
Right. I mean, what's the story of the Empire? I know it's been there a long time.
It was well over 100 years when we went, so... Right. But it had been bingo hall, and I think it was something to do with the Second World War as well.
Right.
And all sorts of things.
Brilliant.
Came up as well.
That sounds great. I mean, is it still doing stuff like that, do you know?
I'm not sure. You'd have to...
That's another one for us to make a call.
Yeah.
Tony's eyes lit up as soon as you mentioned. Yeah. Oh, that Empire Theatre.
That one.
That's great.
Very good, though. Very good investigation.
No, what got you into it then?
What good is it?
All the ghosty stuff, yeah.
Well, when I was about 5 or 6, we were in our junior school.
Right.
And we went to what was the library at the time.
Yeah.
And it was an old building. I think it would date it back to 1839, I think.
Right.
And me and my friend were just looking for a book, and all of a sudden, I know this is going to sound corny, but the book like literally flew off, like landed 6 foot in front of us.
Right.
So that's what sort of got us on the trail. On the trail, so to speak. But
well, it would. I mean, seeing something like that's fantastic. I mean, and it's a thing about libraries, and they're kind of under ghost hunted, if you know what I mean. Because I know a lot of people that'll do theatres and old mansion houses and castles.
Yeah.
I always think libraries, maybe because of their nature of quiet places.
Quietness.
I always think that they're they can be quite spooky, especially late in the evening when all the lights are on and stuff. I
could talk all night about my experiences.
Yeah.
I met a group of people, probably early 2000. And there was 6 or 7 of us, and we all used to go out all over the country.
Great.
Oxfordshire, Wales.
Fantastic.
Obviously the northeast as well.
Sure.
And brilliant experiences.
Well, it's also different. I know a lot of people that have started watching the kind of stuff that we do on a Thursday night live, and then wherever we go that weekend, that's their trip, to go out and kind of walk in our footsteps and see what we see. And that's kind of how I started. I'd go out. I've written a few books about the history of the North, so follow those footsteps first, see if there are any kind of ghostly stories related to them. And hey, this part of the country's absolutely renowned for being steeped in history, so there's no shortage. And
definitely, yeah.
To be honest, Britain as a whole, Ireland, Scotland, blimey, where do you... It's not like we've got a shortage of places to go and visit. But hey, good to know. Anything else then, Jonathan, while you're on?
Well, I would talk about the ghost. I was on end.
What is the thing that is... You saw the figure in the Empire Theatre projection room.
Yeah.
Is there any other moment where you believe you have actually seen a ghost?
Seen one, not quite. Heard something really, 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 really strange, yes.
Which was?
There was 3 of us just went for a walk up Dunstanburgh Castle,
Oh, yes. Huh?
And probably weren't supposed to be there at that time of night.
Right.
But we did leave a tip. You know, in the box afterwards.
Hoping it didn't lead to a fine, you just
Yeah.
left
Yes,
it.
aye.
Right.
But well, anyway, we're having a good old look around there, and we kept seeing shadows pop out of the ruins. Because I mean, it's most of it's ruins, isn't it? Apart from the gatehouse.
That's right.
And so we eventually got into the gatehouse, and we stood there, and we had this rumbling coming up the drive. And I was looking for the exits.
Right.
Because I thought it was the police, you see.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I'm looking for the exits, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I can run fast, but can I run that fast? And we all were still for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then it just stopped.
And what noise was it coming in? Was it a mechanical motor vehicle noise? Or what kind of noise was it?
No, it was just like a deep rumbling.
Right.
So we all looked at each other, and then when it stopped, we went outside. No police there, no nothing there. So probably a few days afterwards, what do you do when you don't understand something? You go on the internet
you Google away.
To search. You Google away.
You do.
So I Googled Dunstanburgh Castle.
Right.
And I was scrolling halfway down the page, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up.
Why?
And I was reading a passage about siege engines.
Right.
You know, it had been ransacked and everything else. But it was the date it was ransacked was the exact date we were there.
Wow, how about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't make that up. That's amazing. And siege engines there, and I know we only seem to see them in films like Braveheart and what have you.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were commonplace. And there was sieges at Dunstanburgh, Bamborough. There was sieges at Newcastle. You know, at Durham. There's been sieges all over the north, and siege engines of one sort or another, either pushed by people. Often horses were involved. But when you get close to the castle, the horses would get killed and become in the way rather than helpful. So it tended to be pushed by large numbers of people. And so that kind of rumble, what kind of noise would it make if it was the size of a castle wall and being pushed along cobbles? It would be a noisy damn
noisy thing. Well, that's what it was like, you see.
Yeah, wow.
And of course, when I thought about the police, I thought, don't be stupid, there's no road lead into the castle. But I wasn't thinking that at the time, you know.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's interesting, though, because I don't know what that noise genuinely would be like. I'm presuming a huge wooden style rumble.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was like.
Brilliant.
You know,
but you see, you could be at home watching Coronation Street, or you're out at a place of immense history, experiencing, at worst, the wildlife and the weather, at best, things that are going to fascinate you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
I know which one I would prefer every time.
Yeah, every time.
Good stuff, Jonathan. Thank you very much indeed. And thanks for pointing us towards Concert Empire Theatre as well. That's definitely worth a phone call.
Yeah, a few phone calls and every time, and
we'll give it a go. Thank you very much again.
Okay.
Cheers, man.
All the best, mate.
Bye-bye. No, we love that. Thanks for being a part of it and being interested. 0191 488 3188. I had an email in from Karen who's talking about a thing that's happened in South Shields. A border collie bit a woman's face, having previously already bitten a youngster's face. The kennel owner said the dog was horrible and it has subsequently been put down. How come owners of vicious dogs don't ever want to tell anybody that the dog has a problem. And if the dog's already bitten before, that's singing there's an issue here, isn't it? 01914 888 3188. And we're also hearing that the lockdown may well not be ending on the 5th of July, like some were saying. They're saying it could sail on another couple of weeks. You know how they said it might be a month, but we think it could be a fortnight. Forget the fortnight thing. I think it is going to rock through. 01914 488 3188. The things you've done for love. What were they? Call us now. 01914 888 3188. Now, the things you do for love. Imagine being 72. What kind of help do you think you would need?
Are you on the line?
No, don't
I
be
know you're only a
silly.
bad.
I'm just a baby. However, you never thought about it?
Why not bloody lie me?
Why not?
Why don't be so bloody fun, man?
72?
72? Well,
I mean, if you were 82...
I got a letter through the post the other day, right? The mail come through.
Yeah.
And I kind of raved with not being able to say. So John read it out. He says, look at this. Would you like this? Would you like that? Would you like this? It wasn't Viagra.
Right.
To keep your sex life going.
Oh, right.
I thought, what the hell is this about?
Yeah.
And I say, sex life, you bugger, I can't bloody walk on in my bloody sex life. I says, if you got my legs up, they would never come back down. He's taking bloody bouts, man, all over the bloody straw. I says, you bugger, if I took the bloody turn out and turned off through the bloody window.
That's brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh, I never mind.
Real people, that's what the Night Owls is all about. Brian's with us. He's in Blythe. Hiya, Brian.
Hi, Alan. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. Good to hear from you. What can we do for you?
Well, I was just listening, obviously, to your ghost hunt that you had on the other night at Eshott.
All right.
Yes, and I'd mentioned in the actual show that you were doing there in the sort of like the text, if you like, that I have the copies of the operationals record book, which is for 57 OTU for that actual site.
Wow!
So that was actually, and every RAF station actually had one of those during the war, and basically it's like a day-to-day life of the airbase, if you like. So when you read through it from when 57 got there, which was in 1942,
right?
Because they came from Howard in North Wales,
right?
And they were sort of mobilised up there. And if you read all of that from there to when it ended, the war ended and the actual site closed, it's all fascinating history.
I bet. How come you got hold of something like that? Because that's proper, that's real living history, because presumably there's still people on the planet who are alive who took part in all of that.
There will be, and in fact, it was when I was doing some research for into one of the pilots who was actually on that site. He became a Battle of Britain pilot, and I was doing some research into the site because I was up that way, and I got in touch with his son, and they live down in the Kent area,
right?
And he passed over to me a copy of it as an electronic copy. I don't have the actual original one because there is only one copy of that in Kew Gardens.
Right.
So, you know,
that's good enough, though, because you can read all of these amazing... Because presumably every day is an adventure.
It is. And in fact, what you find, and I thought was fascinating, was that you know, it shows that everything from the number of personnel that are on the site every day to the aircraft to what they did for entertainment. And it's just like a glimpse into another time, really, when the airbase was like, you know, buzzing with all sorts of activities during the course of that time. It was very interesting. It's very interesting to read.
What did they do for entertainment, by the way?
Well, funny enough, the first December when they first got there back in 1942, which is the first time that they were there.
Yeah.
I've got a little extract here, and it does say this is actually verbatim from the actual thing, and it says from 1100 hours, the rest of the day was given over to Christmas festivities and entertainment, and all of the airmen and airwomen on the station. The menu for the Christmas dinner included roast goose, pork, plum pudding, mince pies, fresh apples, free beer, cigarettes and chocolate, and a voluntary dance band by the airmen played throughout the meal, and sports were encouraged. Football, cross-country walks in the afternoon, and a gala dance was held in the evening.
Where's all the rationing?
Not there,
Wow,
obviously.
that was fantastic.
Yeah, they've got, they had over 800 people on site, you know what I mean? So it's quite a big area.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was the first sort of month that they were there after they'd been mobilised. So it's quite interesting to read that, to see how they were living at the time, And when you did your ghost hunt around there, you can just imagine the people around that
coming alive,
being alive at that time, and you were walking in their footsteps when you were going down the lane. So it's quite fascinating to see you do that and then relate that to what was actually in the book,
Oh, great! Well, I'm just glad that it created some kind of chemistry that worked for you. The thing that I noticed when I was there, and I know once 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years pass, and that's what we're talking about, that the landscape can change, and yet up there it hasn't much. The footprint's still clearly there of what went on.
It is, isn't it? And it's got a lot of the sort of the area shelters that were there, which you were in parts of those, and and there's a lot of those dotted around that whole site.
There is,
and I think that brought it home. As far as obviously there were air raids up there, and a lot of aircraft that took off, but there was a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
A lot of flying accidents up there because it was in fact a training school, as you know.
That's right.
And a lot of pilots lost their lives up there in and around the area, and it's and in that same book it actually has all of the court of inquiries into each and every single one of those accidents.
It was just right at the beginning when we're talking about how I think the first plane they had was a Manchester training plane, if memory serves. And the thing that I loved about it was we had all these Polish people coming over to be refugees escaping the Nazis, because obviously they invaded Poland that got us into the war, and they were coming over here wanting revenge on Germany, and they had to take the edge of the plane's wing off because the Poles kept stealing the plane and going over to Germany and bombing it. It had nothing to do, nobody gave them an order, they just got in the plane, beetled off, dropped bombs, and came back. I just think how bodacious and something like that is. You've housed us, you've looked after us, you've taught us how to fly. Got to pinch your plane now.
Borrow it for a few days.
Amazing.
Yeah,
because in the film Battle of Britain, they show you Polish pilots being trained and just getting stuck in, and not following orders and doing their own thing. So it's obvious that kind of stuff was actually far more common than you would think.
You would think, yes, and there was a lot of nationalities there. There was like the Free French and the Australians and the Czechs and the New Zealanders and the Canadians, and it was just inundated with pilots from all over the world, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they had to get them up to speed quite quickly because Britain were trying to play catch up with building planes for them, of course.
Well, yes, and they did that. I mean, they had quite a few planes there, as you know, various models of Spitfires and Hurricanes, and and the Manchesters, as you mentioned. But it's quite fascinating. Like you talk about the entertainment as well. I mean, there's a place in Newcastle which I don't know actually where it was. You might know where it was. It was called the Palace Theatre in Newcastle.
Right.
Any idea where that might have been?
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it was on the left-hand side. If you're crossing the Tyne Bridge and going up the lane into Newcastle Centre, it was on the left-hand side on the way up. I can't think of a name of any shop up there that I can say that was kind of where it was. Just before you cut along that little side road that takes you to the bottom of Dean Street, to the top of Dean Street, bottom of Grey Street.
I know what you mean.
So I think it was on that lane, but I stand to be corrected on that.
Because in the book there's a copy of a program there where they did a show called Over to You from RAF Eshott back in 1944.
What?
And that was all in aid of the Station Benevolent Fund at the time, and it's got a list of all of the people and what they did and that sort of thing. I just thought that was quite interesting as well, So they obviously did shows outside of their airbase and into the town.
Well, you mentioned that the band played. So presumably they had their own band, like a station band. And if you get it, because it's like if there's that many people, because let's face it, I mean, there's some villages in Northumberland and Wearside and Tyneside that haven't got 800 people living there. And if you've got all of these people in a tiny bit of countryside where you're not actually that near, you're 9 or 10 mile away from Morpeth. So, you're actually self-supportive little circle of people. You would have to do everything. You'd have your comic, you'd have your brass section and your jazz band. You'd have everybody would be doing their football team. You know what I mean? It's a community, isn't it? It's a military village.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's almost self-contained village, yes. Yeah. So I don't know whether it's interest to you or not, but certainly if you want me to send you the link to my my site where I've got in Amazon, I've got an Amazon Drive, and I can give you a link.
Brilliant.
To that, and then you can have a look through all of that if you wish. I mean, there's lots of pages. Don't get me wrong. So you'll be on for hours and days and weeks, but certainly if you want to have a look through it, you're more than welcome, and I don't mind sending you that link.
Absolutely, would love that, Brian. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
So please do. Welcome. Hey, good man, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for being with us and watching, man. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm a supporter of it, so I'll keep following you. Don't you worry.
All right, good man. Thanks again, Brian.
Alan.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Oh, how nice is that? And a supporter. Hey, even better. 0191 488 3188. Let's have a star that comes out at night because, well, they do, They do for me. And I think the first one that we'll have this evening is the wonderful Gabrielle. I asked her a question about her career. What's been the highlight and the low light? Your best bit and your worst bit in the game?
Oh my God, just so many highlights. Just because being a singer meant I was able to meet Nelson Mandela in 2000 or 2001. I can never remember the exact year. Well, no, it's either one or the other. Sure. My first ever Brit, that was a highlight. Lows, I mean, you know what? Apart from just having your private life kind of there in the public, not for your own kind of cause, from your own kind of doing, but you take the rough with the smooth, and pretty much I get to live my life away from the spotlight. So I would more comment on the highs than lows. And the lows are just being there when, you've got people who might want to sell stories. Thankfully, I've never really had that, but, that unwarranted interest in something that you feel that you weren't responsible for, but just by association, you get kind of dragged through the mud. But again, people have gone through far worse. So, the fact that I get to kind of pick and choose my moments when I'm here now, and when I'm not here, I'm pretty much away permanently. So, it works for me. So, more highs than lows, I must say.
Well, I mean, if you really do need a filthy story at any time, I am here. I am available. But
you've got a lovely voice as well.
There you go. It's all working and sizzling on the back burner right now. It's good. No, but with respect to it, I always ask if my guests have ever seen a ghost. Have you ever had a spooky experience of any kind?
You know something? I'm one of these people that if there is any of those, like them supernatural things, I'm like, no, And even if I did see anything, I'm not telling anybody because they'd lock me up. And I'll be too scared to tell anyone. But no, I think when I was younger, I always believe I saw something, but it was in the form of action men. And maybe, I'm an old woman now, so when I was younger, maybe it was my brother's action men at the end of the bed. But I remember when I was younger thinking, they were moving. No, they were moving. They were at the edge of the bed, like balanced with their little mini guns. Right. And they were action figurines. And also maybe it's because my mum used to tell us the story of, is it Lucy who was in the cupboard? But I think she just said that to stop us coming out of her rooms. So I think that and the fear when you're really tiny, that kind of plays with you. So they probably didn't, they probably weren't movable action men. I probably just used to dream it because my mum was trying to keep us under the reins, keep the reins on us. So, but generally, no, those things are not for me. I don't want to know. I had to stop reading horror books a long time ago because they mess with my mind.
How about that? It's all about dreams, you see.
Foxes. Yeah. We were almost attacked by a bull.
And cows, lots of them. And a sheep.
What's the matter? Tony decided to say we should have a walk along the entire runway of the air, and then we walked all the way back, and we thought, well, nothing here.
We've seen some varieties of animals, haven't we?
Hares, rabbits, deers, a fox.
Oh, well, that makes it all worthwhile. But we're here to see spirit. Don't you? Forget it. The the main story of this place is children, and it's a horrible story. I don't know whether we want that story now. I can share it with you if you wish. But imagine this, an aeroplane coming into land. It was actually at Acklington. They said it was coming into land at Acklington. And the problem was sea mist had come in along with fog. Now, sea fret's a very different thing. It comes in from the coast, and it's made up of slightly different stuff to what fog's made of. And when the two get together, it's called a pea super, which means you've got to land using your instruments only. Now, this was an English bomber, and it was coming into land. It had spent all of its bombs. It was due to land at Eshott Airstrip, but it couldn't get to Eshott, so it had to make a landing wherever it could. And it saw an airstrip, didn't know what it was, but had to land on it. It came down too fast on an airstrip that was too short, and it went straight through the runway, across fields, and into a farmhouse where a family called Vaughan lived. And it totally destroyed the farmhouse. It exploded into an inferno. And yet, within 5 minutes of the entire place going up, the mother and father, Vaughan, walked out of the house on So the parents no longer wanted to live, and this was early part of the war. They got the children. The nearest hospital couldn't deal with them because their burns were so severe, and they had to bring them to another hospital here. They brought them in from an ambulance. They brought them down that road, I would imagine, straight to the hospital. And you call it a hospital. To me, that's a tin shed. Could you imagine? I know many of us have had friends and family that have been hurt in accidents, and you take them to the hospital and you hope and you pray that they're going to be able to save them. Imagine if the only place intensely badly burned children could be brought was a tin shed in the middle of a field up in Northumberland. I'm sorry, but that would freak me out. And they thought that they could possibly save the boy children, and they worked on them, and they covered them, and they put salve on them. They did whatever they could in that building there, the far building. But tragically, they ended up in that one there, the mortuary. And they say that the children even answer you when you speak.
People are saying that they didn't hear the story. The sound went off. That was weird.
The sound went off?
Yeah, the sound and picture.
What? Can people confirm that? In which case, I'll quickly reiterate the tale.
Yeah, but
did the story go off? Can you just get people confirming?
Yeah, there's a few people saying that.
Right. Well, very quick version of that story again. An aeroplane came into land, a British bomber. It was in a pea soup fog with mist mixing in with sea fret. It had to land on its technology, which was basic at the time. And it came into land at an airstrip that it didn't know. It was Acklington. And the plane was traveling too fast on an airstrip that was too short. So it just kept going. And it ended up going through and into a farmhouse, and it erupted in an inferno of flames. The pilot, of course, died, as did the crew. And the mother and father stepped out of the farmhouse on fire, and neighbours had to jump on them and put the fire out. And they were brought here in a separate ambulance to the one that had their 5 children. The 2 girl children were literally incinerated. There was not much left of them. The 3 boys were severely burned, and they came here. And I was just suggesting, on earth would any parent feel? Because when we have illness in the family, you want to believe that whoever is going to look after them, whatever doctors and nurses, they would have the skill to be able to save them. Now, it's one thing taking them to a relatively modern hospital, but to bring them here to what is essentially just a tin hut, corrugated iron roof, wooden doors, drafty, basic, and that's the best chance that you've got to save your bairns in a place like that. Horrific. Well, don't know whether you can hear that echo, but that is the echo of the ghost children, because they ended up in this building. And I don't know whether you're already making out the echo, but this is the place they were brought. Tragically, we can't get into the hospital building, it's unsafe, but we can come in here where the children were brought. And this is uncomfortable. We were talking to a neighbour just literally 5 minutes before we came on air tonight, and he was saying that he sometimes leaves his truck in here and brings gadgets in here, and because he can keep them dry. And he says it's a weird, strange place. And the echo is formidable in this place. It's warm outside. In here, it's chilly, but there's definitely an atmosphere. So keep your eyes peeled for us, please. This is, oh my goodness, there's a red light flashing through the window. How appropriate when we're talking about that kind of thing. So red light just signaling away at us. And this is the old mortuary. And I think it says an awful lot about the time that this place is so big. How many bodies would this have housed at any one time during wartime? It's got a real atmosphere. It's got a real feel to it. And you could just picture beds with people in it, bodies covered by sheets, pilots that had been shot down, innocent people that homes had been bombed. And German planes did come trying to find airstrips and bomb them to try and stop the British planes. And there's an amazing story about the day that Hitler decided he was going to send so many planes that he would destroy the entire munitions and shipbuilding industry on the time. I'll tell you that in the second half. Amazing. Look at this. What are these for? Well, these to secure beds, or was this to put another row of beds up, maybe? You know, if they had like double-sized bunks. What the hell? Straw, I would imagine probably had straw then to take any leakage, which, you know what that is. It is, absolutely. I think definitely let's have some time with the beast. Now, we got a new gadget this evening as well that I'm tempted to start with. Now, this gadget is a radar, and this ghostly radar tells you if there's any energy here, and it also reads the energy and fires words, whatever the entity is thinking.
Indeed, great. We got a lot more of them coming, and some more stars coming out at night, including some of your very, very favourites. Talking to Stevie Nicks next. However, that is only after we've talked to the people that count, and that's you guys. Vicky is coming up too. However, I've got a challenge for you. To win yourself the Night Owls mug, all you have to do is work out what links 4 answers together. The first clue is this. This greatest hitster and his band sang about the Mull of Kintyre. Who was that? This greatest hitster and his band sang of the Mull of Kintyre. Write that down. That is your first clue. You'll end up with 4 clues. Then tell me what links them all together. That's the deal tonight. And this is, when you know the answer, you go, oh, it's obvious. But if you don't, it's a head scratcher. Let's see how you get on. That's your first clue. 3 more clues to come. And lots to talk about. The things you do for love might include having your partner picked up by the police.
He got a bit drunk.
Uh-huh.
And we were in the house alone, and he made a threat towards a landlord who's been ripping us off.
Right.
And I was in a situation where I thought, do I leave it or do I report it? And I got advice and I reported it to the police.
Right.
Now, the police came around in the middle of the night and they sent 4 policemen, 2 police cars. They handcuffed him, arrested him, and they took him off to prison. They strip searched him. They locked him up for 12 hours. And they were quite heavy-handed with him. And I felt terrible. I felt absolutely terrible.
Sometimes people can just completely go off it and do something that you would think is irrational and, well, who could have thought that would happen? He made a threat, you took it seriously. Did the police end up thinking that you were just being like a malicious ex?
No, I mean, they really took it seriously, and I to be honest, I told the police they were being very heavy-handed with him.
Uh-huh.
I was furious with them because I thought that that's the worst thing they could do. To be honest, I'm glad I actually reported it, because if anything had happened, it would have been even worse.
And imagine, when is the best time to ask your partner that you would like to be with them forever? Ask for their hand in marriage. Now, if you ask a woman, I would imagine a lady would say at a restaurant whilst on holiday somewhere, and somebody drops the ring in her tequila sunrise. Or maybe on a wild mountain top overlooking the sea. Men, well, they have a whole other idea.
We were actually in the throes of making love. And we asked her to marry him.
Now, you see, this is important.
Go on then.
Were you actually making love, or was he just about to make love and you went, stop? And you go, will you marry me? Yes! 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 Is that kind of how it went?
No, it was sort of in the throes, and then it was sort of bit of in between, and he said, will you marry us? And I went, ask us in the morning, and he asked us in the morning.
Ah, you must have been good. Were you on top of your game then, Sue?
100%, Alan, definitely. And I've always said that was the best proposal any woman could have.
Do you agree with that? In the middle of having sex? But what if he was having a bit of a bad day? What if it got a bit wobbly? Do you know what I mean? Hey, come on. There's some dangers there. Mind you, one of the things that I am reminded by those of you who are fortunate enough to be parents, and it's how magnificent the birth is and how much of a miracle it is. But what if your partner's scared of the birth?
He took me in, and then they said I wasn't ready. So they told him to go home and get his Sunday dinner.
Right.
So he's gone home for his Sunday dinner to his mum. Then I started sort of quickly, and they phoned for him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he just took his time coming back. He finished his dinner before he come back. He didn't rush. He hasn't admitted that, but I'm sure that's right.
How about that? And also, the kind of knowledge that you need to know, and I mean need to know, can only come from someone who has experienced a relationship over a number of years. Because this is the wisest words you'll probably ever hear.
I don't know, we fell out in bed about something, I can't remember. And I started crying, and I don't know what it was. It really hurt my feelings. And I came downstairs and I was crying like mad, and he didn't follow us down.
Oh.
And I thought, you...
Fighting behaviour.
I went from tears to anger.
Right.
And I thought, I bet he's asleep. And I went upstairs and there he was, snoring his head off. And I just got a hold of the end of the bed and I stood it on end. I never even felt it. It could have been a feather. I never even felt it. And he rolled out the other side and he picked the pillar up and he says, I'll kill you if you do that. And he was going to hit us with the pillar, he said, but he didn't, I mean.
That's
but
good.
He got such a shock.
Never go to bed on an argument. Right, let's move on to Washington. Vicky's there. Hi, Vicky.
Hello again.
Hello, good to catch you. What are you talking about tonight, then?
So, I've got 3 things I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
The Empire Theatre in Sunderland.
Right, yes.
I went there, possibly 4 years ago to watch a theatre with my sister-in-law.
Right.
And we were sitting right down on the bottom level at the back.
Right.
And when the music kicked in, I went ice cold. And I've never felt anything like that in my life. I was shaking. I was shivering. I said to my sister, I was like, Jesus, hell, I'm freezing. She's like, Aoife, from that. We were shivering. And then it went as quickly as it came. It just went. And I know it's an old theatre, possibly haunted. And I don't know if it's the same theatre that someone else has been talking about tonight. Because I think we mentioned this.
No, that was the Empire in concert for them. But I know the Sunderland Empire is haunted. There's no question about that.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we felt it.
Right.
Also, with the same sister-in-law, we went to the Time Theatre that you visited not long ago, and we were sitting down obviously down in the seats on the ground level, and it was, weirdly enough, it was a talk from a psychologist who was dealing with, she did a tour about the psychology of a serial killer.
Right,
So she talked, I don't know if you've Googled or heard of her or anything like that, but it was really, really interesting. All the stuff she talked about serial killers and their mindset and the very famous ones in America and what they've done. And when I was sitting there, I kept catching a glimpse of somebody in the box to the left of the stage, you know, the posh boxes where the posh people sit. And I was like, but there's nobody in there. Like, why can I see somebody, peeking out?
Right.
Why can I see somebody? And I couldn't stop looking at it. And we noticed there was mirrors in there. And we were like, why is there mirrors in there?
Right.
And we Googled it. And apparently the mirrors are in there because if there's posh or famous people in there, the crowd can't see them, so they put the mirrors in there so that you catch a glimpse of them. See if it was royalty, they'd be able to get a little glimpse of them.
Yes.
It was dead interesting, but it was very weird. It was very weird.
Was it the one to the right of the stage?
To the left.
To the left, right, okay.
For me sitting, it was to the left.
Yeah.
There was nobody in there. It was shut. They were both shut. It was pretty full, but I kept looking up there just to see,
what's that?
See, there's someone in there, like peeking out and looking around just to see, checking the audience out.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that ghost hunt. But the third one I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Can you remember I'm going to go back about 20 years ago.
Can I remember?
You were at a castle, I think it was in Ireland.
Right.
And you were going down a flight of stairs and you said there was a handprint of a child imprinted on the stairs.
Charleville Castle, right in the middle of County Tullamore in the centre of Ireland. Yeah, the girl had been thrown down the stairs and a handprint, a little child handprint, can still be seen on the stairs.
That the handprint was on the stairs.
Yes.
I remember listening to that and I was terrified. I jumped out of bed, turned the radio off, I can't listen to that. I cannot listen to any more of that. And the only time I've been that frightened since is when you went up into the roof into the Masonic Lodge.
Yes.
And but that's with the handprint. Oh, God, I'll never forget that.
Chilled you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, chilled to the soul.
Amazing stories, though. And this is the thing. Once you start digging around where you live or wherever you go in the world, there's always an amazing story not far away if you scratch deep enough. That's the thing.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Well, thank you very much, Vic. Great to hear from you. Thanks for calling.
Take care.
And you, bye-bye. Oh, that's good. Good that we're doing at least something that people like. 0191 488 3188. Spread the word of the owl in all directions. We have Jack. He's in Newcastle upon Tyne. Hi, Jack.
Hello, how are we doing?
I'm all right. Good to hear from you. What's your subject tonight?
Well, we'll talk about the that whatever it is, the relationship things.
Okay.
I mean, I've just split up from my partner not long ago. To be fair,
what happened? What happened?
It was There's a lot of stuff, really. I think it was like the pressures of lockdown, furlough, parents being terminally ill, that sort of thing, you know. So,
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
so it's just like a lot of pressure, really, I'm guessing, you know.
Were you living with a lady?
Yeah, kind of, in a way.
Kind of? I'm sorry, but I'm nebby. What do you mean, kind of?
That's complicated.
Right, okay.
And then obviously also, so I just thought I'd mention that. But the other thing I was going to mention, obviously, was the news from the mainstream about, the good old politicians doing the dirty and whatnot, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it's a bit hypocritical, if anything, you know.
Sure.
I don't know, like if any other viewers have talked about it or if you have mentioned it much.
Yeah, we talked about it at the top of the show, but to me, the one thing that came out, you saw the guy who he did this little recording of himself and then released it on social media, and it was him basically saying, "Oh, you British people, you've done so well. You're amazing. You've followed the rules, and we got you out of lockdown first, and we're looking after you, and we've kept you safe." And a lot of that's just hype to make what he does or what he's done seem amazing and incredible and fantastic. When the reality is, you could question whether it was done well or whether it wasn't, because we had a massive number of people suffering from COVID across the time because we locked down late right at the very beginning, and it cost us time and lives, I'm afraid. But the one thing he didn't mention was his wife and family. Instead, he just put one line in there saying, "I'm really sorry to my family and loved ones." Never mentioned his wife. And I thought, you cheeky note.
Well, it's just, I don't get how people are putting up with like all the behaviour from it. Like these days, like these are supposed to be the politicians running the country, and like it's just like their behaviour is very low in morals. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know it's like it's all above board and all that, but even like Boris's wife, like, I mean, she's like what? How many years younger than him? Like,
right. I mean, is that an issue really? I mean, Boris, you could argue he's got kids all over the place by various people, and he had that recent spat where he, allegedly, gotta be careful. Allegedly, he paid using government money to take this exotic dancer to various parts of the world, hiring her as an advisor. Don't we all wish we could get away with that? I'm just taking this exotic dancer. I think she'll be able to help me out as a politician. I bet she probably did. But but on politicians' bottom line, and I know they should have a higher moral standard, but aren't they just like everybody else? We're blokes, and I know women cheat too. Absolutely, my life is proof of that pudding. But but isn't this just normal? You know, grown-ups deciding they've had sex with somebody long enough and fancying having sex with somebody else. And should marriage licenses have a like? You can sleep together for 10 years, then it's over unless you renew it for 5 years. Maybe it should be like driving licenses.
Yeah, go for a refresher every 10 years. Oh, bloody hell. Yeah.
Here's Julie. She's going to give you a refresher course. I think so. Yeah.
But the other thing, so, there's obviously all that went on, but there was, I don't know if you had heard, but there was another big, massive protest in London, on Saturday.
Yes.
Another one. So, like the previous one that I did manage to attend, that turned out there was like about 1 million people there. Wow. This one I wasn't so lucky to attend, but it looked better organised and stuff as well.
They're putting pressure in the right kind of places. Be interesting to see if it holds sway. But hey, you never know. Jack, good talking to you, man. Thanks for coming back on again. Appreciate your time.
Right, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. Let's talk to the stars who come out at night because we love them. And this one in particular, Stevie Nicks. I asked the lass about, all of the things that she writes because she's written some of the greatest songs. What you've managed to do is the mystique about Stevie Nicks, because everybody has read something into a lyric that you've put together on the various albums. Sometimes it's a bitch, sometimes it's a breeze, people writing songs for you. All of these classics. just ooze of other people's experiences, not yours. It's a gift you have to be able to put down your own feelings and yet know that that will reflect off everyone else.
Right. Well, but you know what? To be a good writer, you have to be truthful.
Right.
And that is something that I always said from the very beginning, even as a little girl. If somebody broke up with me, I'm not going to write a song and say I broke up with them. You know, I'm not gonna change the truth. I'm always going to keep it the way it really happened.
That shows a lot of you to people then, doesn't it? Lets a lot of people in.
Yeah, it does. But you have to if you're going to be a good writer. Otherwise, people aren't going to get it. If you're dancing around the reality of the situation and you're coding it all out, then people aren't going to get it.
Right. Then it's superficial. Then it's not Stevie Nicks.
See if anything's here. It's firing out to see if there's anything about. There's a presence being detected in here. I tried this gadget yesterday in the house and we got nothing in the house. But there's a message. There's a message coming. It's a good thing. We have a spirit 12 meters in that direction. 12 meters. You just heard a message from it, which is being deciphered. It says that the soul here is sad. Are you Mr. White? Is the message. Are you Mr. White? Maybe there was a doctor here called White. What's going on? Where is that? Ended here. Over here, has it moved? Let's see. See if we can get another message from it too. It's locating.
Strange stuff again.
Who is Mr. It's very, very.
Fine, isn't it?
But it's very distinct.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got some more of that strange dust stuff going on. Mind you, we are walking on straw.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
it's.
it could be that.
Oh, hang on. There's a message coming. Where is the spirit from us? Where is it? 12 meters. It's in that corner there. That's what it says. And the message. Can you tell Amber? Can you tell Amber? Who is Amber? Who's Amber? Who is Amber? We will tell Amber. A nest of or birds. Well, hang on. Let's see if we can get another message from this guy. We will tell Amber. What do you want us to tell her? It's looking. Just picks up energy that's in large enough amount for it to pick up. There's definitely things here. No question about it. Hold on a second. Presence. Which direction are you? Where are you? Tell Amber. Tell Amber what? Tell Amber what? Where are you? He's there. What do you wish me to tell the sad spirit? Just there, Kenny, you're walking towards it. Yeah. I loved you. I loved you on the 12th.
It's freezing here.
I loved you on the 12th. How about that?
Stand here.
I loved you. I loved you on the 12th. What does that mean? Might mean something to... Oh, hell, Steve.
Freezing.
Yeah.
Shit, that's actually...
But hang on. Discernibly.
I've got shivers up here on my back.
Is it just because you're near the door?
No, you're freezing here.
That's amazing.
No.
Wow. I think time for the necromancer as well. Let's see what we get from... Maybe we can get a fuller conversation with the necromancer.
It is cold.
Although, yeah, I'm feeling the chills.
Isn't it weird? Nice day, everything fine, then all of a sudden freezing cold in one spot.
Right, come on, let's get the necromancer loose. The ghost radar I thought was interesting.
Very interesting.
I'd be very interested to find out when the 12th was. There's also some smoke coming over there, almost like a plane could have crashed. Isn't that weird? Can you make that out, Tony?
Yeah, just in the middle of the two trees.
How weird. Couple of miles. I know. Come on, necromancer, over to you. Who was Amber? Was Mr. White a doctor?
I've just got a feeling on my hand.
Of?
As if it was raining. If it was raining, is it raining? It's not raining, is it?
No.
It's like a light. Put your hand here, just like a light feeling of water on it.
Really not getting it yet.
Honestly, I've just had it there. That was. I thought it was raining. It was raining.
Let's see if we can get something from this. Amber. Who's Amber? Is Amber there? Yes. I have a message for you, Amber. Do you want the message, Amber? Don't laugh. The message is that he loved you. And he was thinking of you on the 12th. He loved you on the 12th. Yeah. Kenny, can I have a torch, mate? Just take the little picture when you're on.
Talk about. Pick up that telephone. Give us a ring. Chris from the city of Durham has done precisely that. Hiya, Chris.
Good evening, Alan.
Evening to you, sir. What can we do for you?
Hiya. Just want to talk about a few things tonight, if that's okay.
Yeah, crack on. Go for it.
Okay, the first thing I was wanting to talk about is what I did for love and how it saved my life.
Oh, go for it.
So, you know, when you're at a point in your life where you've got your mates on one side and you've got your love of your life on the other.
Happens, yeah.
You don't know which one to take there.
That's
true. So, some people take the route of the mates, and the girlfriends end up getting pissed off with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes someone will go with the girlfriend, and then the mates will not be happy with them.
Sure.
So I was kind of in that predicament like many years ago, and I remember chasing my mates, and then the next thing I know, I'm sat in the car, and my mates are saying we're going to Scarborough.
Right.
And thought to myself, like, something doesn't feel right, and all I want to do is go and see the love of my life. You know. So I said to them, look, lads, I'm not coming to Scarborough with you. I'm going to go and see my girlfriend.
Right.
Although I didn't tell them that. I did go and see my girlfriend, and many hours later, I got a phone call saying that my mates had been in a car accident.
Oh, what?
The guy driving the car on the way to Scarborough, and he fell asleep at the wheel, and he veered off into the barrier, you know, the one that goes down the dual carriageway, the steel barrier.
Yeah.
He veered into that and scraped on that, and the passenger, which was the one of my mates, he grabbed the steering wheel and he pulled it towards him, which turned the car the other way, and then they were heading into a field. Right. And as soon as they hit the curb, the car flipped. Right, and it flipped and it flipped and it flipped like it does in the films.
Yeah.
And the guy in the back, who was another friend, there was three of them in the car, the driver, the passenger, and the guy in the back. I was also in the back, but I went out, luckily. The guy in the back flew through the back window, and he had about a foot-long scar on his back.
Did they all survive?
Yes, they all survived.
Wow, my goodness.
The passenger, and he had cuts on his shins because when the car spun, he had his seatbelt on, but his shins flew up, his legs flew up into the dashboard, so that he had cuts on his shins. The driver who fell asleep was absolutely fine, not a bruise on him.
This is because when you're sleeping, you're floppy. And
that's probably
apparently,
right.
Yeah.
I've heard that as well. Yeah, but he was fine. But the lad in the back obviously got thrown out because there was no seatbelts in the back of the car. This was years ago, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
And I would have been in the back with the guy who was thrown out with a foot thing. And it was only because of love, because I wanted to see my girlfriend, that I got out the car.
And who knows, you might not have survived. I mean, it was possible.
I didn't have that love of my life. I'd have been with them, and I probably wouldn't have, you know, because the injuries that were caused in the crash for the person who was in the back, who I would have been sat next to, were like serious injuries.
Terrifying.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah, good story though.
All right, yeah. Have you seen magnets sticking to people?
Have I seen magnets sticking to people? No.
Yeah, no, have you not? No. I must be going too far down the rabbit hole.
Right. I mean, have you?
Yes, I've seen, I would say, about 100 videos of people all around the world who put magnets on their arms.
Right.
And the magnets stick.
And the reason for this is?
I don't know. But the conspiracy theorists are saying, it's something to do with the vaccine, you know what I mean? But I don't know.
Oh, right, I see.
Whatever. There is videos of magnets sticking to people's arms. There's hundreds of them.
Right. I shall be another one looking at them then, following this show.
Check it out. Magnets sticking to people.
Right.
There's that many that I think, God, it's got to be true.
Well, I take iron tablets from time to time, but I didn't think I was taking that many.
Who knows?
Not enough to make them stick, I would have thought. But I'll have a look. I'll certainly check it out.
Yeah, check it out, man. There's too many videos to think that it's a hoax.
Yeah.
Well, see, I don't know.
Okay.
The next thing is cryptocurrency.
Yes.
I took the plunge and I bought some.
Right.
And I actually know some people who are really good at it. And they gave me a tip a few weeks ago.
Right.
And they said, better invest in this coin because it's going to boom. And I was a bit skint at the time, so I didn't. And anyway, I looked at the account balance for that coin, and it absolutely
went through the roof, did it?
Right. It went through the roof. But after a few hours, it went back down. So I think they call that a pump and dump in the Bitcoin world.
Right, I'm not into this kind of stuff.
But honestly, it's a good way to get rich. If you have to be really good at it, though, and know what you're doing. Anyway, the Matt Hancock situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this all might be a hoax, you know, Alan.
A hoax? Why a hoax?
Because he's got charges of crimes against humanity going against him. he's being reported to the police by multiple people for crimes against humanity, and the evidence is sticking as well.
What are these alleged crimes?
Crimes against humanity.
Like what, though? Or what's he done against humanity?
It's because he has put out false information, and he has endangered people's lives, and people have lost lives due to his information that he's putting out into the public. So I know one police officer who's reported him for it, and I think they're taking it very seriously.
How come we haven't heard about this, though? Because the press aren't exactly full of, he's just doing this to take everybody's eye off the ball. I mean...
This is a conspiracy theory, I suppose. Just look at it as a conspiracy. I'm not dissing him in any way. You know, I mean, his private life is none of my business.
Right.
And he can do what he wants. That's fine.
But you think he's been guilty of misinformation? That's what you're saying?
I'm saying that there's people who's put
complaints in
reports into the police against him.
Right.
I've got video evidence of that as well, and I can send you some photographs of what they call them, freedom of information requests.
Right.
And these information requests prove that there's been no pandemic. I've got documents, and these documents have already been submitted in a police report as well.
Right.
For crimes against humanity. But
but you see, when I hear and I know it's kind of standard conspiracy theory this, but if it was that obvious, why did the whole world play along? Because all you would need is one government saying, it's all BS, there's no truth to it, I'm not playing. If all these other governments want to pull that stroke with their people, fair dues, but I'm not playing. But why would the world go along with it then?
Well, that's another debate. All I'm saying is the Matt Hancock thing might be a bit of a door out for him. That's all I'm saying, a door out. So he doesn't have to take responsibility as a public figure for when he gets pulled, a scapegoat. Call him. I think he might be a scapegoat.
Right. Okay.
Because he's also a bit, like I say, there's been a lot of information submitted to the police.
Yeah, but you see, that's just words. What information? Because it is. Anybody can say, they've been talking about him, but you're not telling me what anybody's saying. You're suggesting that it's misinformation, but without giving me any of the things that he's misinformed about. And then you say there's no pandemic, which would mean every government minister and every prime minister and president of any country on earth was equally guilty then.
No, what I'm saying is a lot of people.
They'd have to be.
A lot of people have reported Matt Hancock to the police for what he's been doing over the past 2 years. Okay, and but
hang on, what was he doing over the past 2 years? You mean working as health secretary?
Well, for starters, I've got evidence that there's been no pandemic. And I can send you that evidence.
I've seen a fair batch of it. I've got opinions of my own about a lot of this stuff, but the one thing that no conspiracy theorist seems to be able to get around is if it was a person's plan to do all of this, he or she then has to persuade
all the government,
every other government leader, scientist, specialists, medical people of all descriptions on every continent and every country to go along with it. What's the likelihood of that?
The likelihood of that is 100%, because that is...
It's not 100%. It's like 1,000,000 to 1, because you'd only need one person coming out saying, well, they're creating this story, but it isn't true. And that's not really happened at all anyway.
Isn't it happening now, though? The whole world's on lockdown. We're all under massive control, like some kind of dystopian, futuristic, thrilling.
Can't argue with that. We have had control exerted over us, unlike anything in my lifetime. I don't deny.
It's like one of them films you'd watch, isn't it? Like, them blockbuster films. Like, everyone's on lockdown, and You know, the whole world's gone apart. And
Yeah, but I'm just not getting any proof at all. Must move on, Chris, but thank you for calling. We've had a lot of all of that. We just had somebody replying to it as well. Phil in North Shields. If it's the Phil that I think it is, he's a nurse. This guy is one of those COVID conspirators. This is the health secretary of our country. His claims have no substance whatsoever and were proven when he wouldn't enter into the debate with you. What has he done exactly? The government might have made mistakes, but to say crimes against humanity is jumping the gun just a touch, says Phil. Is the government responsible for some of the deaths? Probably, because they acted, they would argue, in the best interests of the country to do the best job they could in circumstances that we'd never had before. That would be their argument, I'm sure. I said right from the very beginning that I worried an awful lot about the care homes, all that kind of stuff. I worried about that because when anybody in government says, if you're in a care home and you're ill, don't go to hospital, don't go to the doctor, try and just, self-isolate for so many weeks. When you're 80, 90 and 100-year-old, that worried me. Oh, hang on, here's one from Timbo. No pandemic, so I've been isolating for nearly 2 years for nothing. Timbo's annoyed now, you see. This is what happens. 0191 488 3188. We have Dave from Exeter. Hello, Dave.
Hello, mate.
Hello, and thank you very much. I mentioned your album last week on the show.
And I didn't hear it. Because I think for some reason, because I watch on YouTube.
Right.
And it must have got muted, maybe, while you were playing a track or something. But anyway, I'm so glad you received it. And by what you said, I don't know what you said, but I guess you liked it?
I did, yeah. You see, to me, it's a very intimate thing because it was special to you. It meant enough to you to go to great lengths and expense to get it done.
I know, yes, indeed.
Absolutely. So therefore, and the fact is that you sent me one I took that as very humbling. The tracks that I liked, there was about, as an album, did I like all the tracks? I'd be lying if I said that I did.
Oh, really?
I didn't. Okay. I didn't think that they were bad. I didn't think they were amazing.
Right.
But there was a few standout tracks. One's called. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, is it Ships?
Yes, the one that's all a cappella.
Yes. I liked that. I thought that was. I just thought it was different. Had a nice feel to it.
Right.
There was another tune called "Dream On" that I think that was on the second side.
That's right.
And the other one, oh blimey, catching me on the spot, is "Keepsakes."
Keepsakes was track one. Yeah.
The first track I thought was a real strong opening part. Those three I thought were stunning bits of music.
Oh,
really liked them a lot.
So much.
As I say, I hear an awful lot of music, so I'm not going to blow smoke anywhere. But I'll tell you what I like, and I particularly like those three because they felt like they were from a personal place.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So, hey, good effort, and it's not something that I'll not listen to again. I will definitely listen to the album again, which says a lot because there's a lot of stuff we get sent that I'll never listen to after
put it this way, maybe if you do listen to it again, you might get a different angle on the ones you didn't like so much, maybe. I don't know.
It's not that I didn't like them. No. It's just that they didn't leap out as if to say, oh, I really like that.
Is it because it's interesting what you say about the tracks that you've chosen. You said that they said something that were more
personal,
distinctive or personal. Did you feel that the other ones were a little bit maybe generic and derivative of other styles? Was that the thing?
Blame me reviewing an album. I didn't play it to review it. I just.
Oh no, I know. We're just chatting though. I know this is going out on air, but
sure. I just played it to enjoy, and the three tracks that I enjoyed were those. There were others that were okay and good, and you see, I was raised where albums had back. If you go back to the very beginning of the album, people would put an album out with two strong tracks and fillers.
That's true.
And when I heard that album, I thought there's some strong tracks here, and there's some less strong tracks. They're not bad. They're enjoyable enough to. I didn't take the didn't take the needle off at any point. I played it down both sides.
Thank you.
And I enjoyed the experience. And there was songs there that would make me go back. And that's what albums should be. And maybe after 2, 3, 4 listens, there'll be more that I pick up on.
That's what I think. That's what I'm hoping anyway, Alan.
Right.
Obviously, as the person who made the music, and all of it means a lot to me. I mean, the songs on there, that the last song on the album is about my mother, which was a very personal one. I don't know whether that comes through. Right. And also the mentality, it's music first, lyrics second, as you probably gather from listening to it.
Yeah.
But the lyrics, each song, somebody said to me when I recorded it, they went, God, it's all about, it's very much you, Dave. I was being very honest and sincere lyrically.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a self-portrait on the cover. So it's all very self-indulgent, I know. But the idea was
I thought that added to it, because you could tell that it wasn't a mass-produced thing.
No,
this was something that was done out of love. And
I'll tell you something. I don't know how interesting this is to listeners. It's because it's very personal to me, and it's a gift to you as well. But I do want to share this idea of getting an album pressed. Is a real battle, especially now. And I'll just tell you, I went to 2 different companies. The first one I had to abandon because I just couldn't get a decent set of test pressings out of. The second lot, and this is where it gets interesting, they were much more professional, and they actually used the gear that they from EMI. EMI closed their plant in Hayes, Middlesex.
Right.
And they took on the very equipment that was used to press Revolver, Dark Side of the Moon, all those EMI classical recordings, right through to Sex Pistols' first album. Is that 10, 12-year period, the equipment that they used at EMI, this company have got it. And I said, what? So my little humble album is going to be pressed going through those machines. And they went, yep.
Yeah, how good
so I was well chuffed with that. So to me, I got a really nice product in the end,
No, I think it's a great job. It was to be honest, a hand on heart, it was much better than I thought it would be. And
that's nice.
but you've got to remember that I'm being sent on average like 30, 40 albums a day.
Oh, you man.
So, that being the case, that's a lot of stuff coming in and being played, and some of them get a casual couple of track listens, and then, to play through one is a sign that it's good stuff. So
Alan, you've put that into perspective now.
You should be proud of yourself.
I got any turntable space at all.
And the fact that it was vinyl, that also meant that I had to dig out the turntable and get that.
Yeah, that's it.
And get that going again, which was a pleasure actually.
That's it. Vinyl, and that was the other point about it. I'll just tell you this one thing that I really, really pressed, if you pardon the pun, to get a decent product. And the guy who was my go-between with the company was saying, I'm getting the message here, because what they'd already sent me that I rejected as faulty, they said it was commercially acceptable. Can you believe it?
Right.
I know, because a lot of vinyl going out the doors at the moment, people are buying it and they're going, okay, well, it's got a couple of pops, couple of clicks, but I can live with it. Right. You'll remember back in our day, we would get pristine records in the 70s and 80s, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And if there was a fault, you'd take it back to the shop. But now people just go, oh, well, yeah, that's how records are now, especially the new ones buying it.
Yeah.
But I said to them, no, this means everything to me. I'm never going to do another one.
Right.
This is it. This is something that I've dreamt about since I was a kid, getting an album. And I said, it's a personal thing, and I don't care how much it's going to cost. I want these done again, So they went through the whole process. And the guy who cut the lacquer for the record, I drove him crazy. Pete Norman, he's called. He actually did things like Omadorn. He did reissues of Led Zeppelin and Mahavishnu Orchestra, and he's long in the tooth. But I got him to really to go back and do it all again.
That's brilliant. Well, it shows because the product's strong, you see.
Yeah, well, good. There we go.
Hey, well, good stuff. Just thank you very much.
I just wanted to follow it up.
Good.
Having sent it to you.
No, it was a lovely thing to do, and I do genuinely appreciate it. Thank you for that.
I'll say one more thing. That guy rang in about magnets connecting to human beings.
Yes.
Seeing as you're the flashing blade, if you sing a tune by Megadeth or Slayer and attach a magnet to your arm, you never know.
You never do. But that's lovely. Iron Maiden. Thank you very much, Dave in Exeter. No, great album he sent in. Getting a bit of response about the whole COVID thing. Hi, Alan. Have you changed your stance on the COVID response, or have you been asked to toe the line on air? You were strongly against lockdown measures in the beginning, but now you seem to support them. That might not be the case, but it comes across that way. And there is a stark contrast to the way you've talked about it over the past few weeks, months, versus how you voiced your objections last year. Absolutely. I have gone with the flow. I have been instructed of the things that I can say and can't say about it. And you have to stick by what we've been told by experts. You can't just randomly, when people's lives are at stake, just say what you feel. You have to have some medical advice behind it all, and I have adhered to that. Have I changed my opinion? Some of my opinions are the same. Some of them have morphed and changed over the years. The one thing I will say is that I wouldn't risk somebody's life on misinforming them. Yeah, that's probably the biggest one. And why would you? Anne sent this. Matt Hancock should have resigned over the Serco contract, PPE shortages, ventilators bought from China, instead of the ones here that were ready to go. People sent into care homes with no tests, but to resign over an affair is minimal compared with that lot. Think he got too complacent, thinking he would get away with anything. Not sure his replacement will be any better. And this one has come in. Susan from Acklington responding to Chris's call. I've spent the last year working in the health sector, and it continues to wind me up when I hear people like the last caller spreading random rubbish they've either made up or read on page 4 of Google. It is an insult to those of us who continue to put ourselves at risk day in, day out. We've seen this pandemic and the effect it continues to have on us. I love a good conspiracy at the best of times, and I've loved many of the shows you've done over the years on such topics. But picking COVID as something to target from the comfort of their own computer is just belittling to everyone who has battled through to get us even to this stage of the restrictions. Thanks for cutting him off in the end. We love the show. Susan from Acklington. Everybody's opinion is difficult. Everyone's opinion is relevant. The truth will appear, as if by magic, in the years to come. And I think there will be a lot for us to find out, because every nation's handled it differently. Rightly or wrongly, that's what history will tell us. But let's have another celebrity superstar having a chat about stuff. Now, whether you like him or whether you love him, and you should love him, Erasure are tremendous. I know that you guys get on so well that you're going to run on forever and ever and ever, but do people actually put pressure on you to kind of bring it to an end?
Yeah, it's just like, let's go, really. I mean, it's, while we're enjoying it and having a good time and being creative, I think, there's no reason for us to plan an end. It's all about the next thing that's going to happen, or the next song that we're going to write. So, we're forward-looking people.
And now with records and CDs not selling and everybody downloading stuff for free, the whole world's a different place. The mechanics are getting paid are more bizarre.
I don't think it's as important for anybody, really, because there's so many different ways that people can get their music out to the public now. But what's changed over the years, I think, is that performing live is becoming much more important than selling records. Because before, I think, you would do a tour to promote a record, and now you kind of make a record to promote a tour. Because obviously, there's revenue lost through downloads and the like. But that's okay, touring is a great experience. It's something you can't download, I guess, and hopefully something that will never be replaced.
I kind of feel more sorry for the younger bands now, because they seem to, or singers, because they seem to, you only get like one chance and that's it. They kind of, they'll do a media blitz on you, and then if that doesn't work, they don't want to. There's no evolution. Yeah.
Fire on here.
Honestly,
You said fire.
that is strange. And again.
I know. Do you know anything about this fire? Are you gathering souls elsewhere? Kenny, can you see what I can see here? Look at the shadow on the wall.
Oh, good, yeah.
I know.
After child? How?
Did you see that?
You got on the camera, Tony?
Did you see the shadow?
Was it a small?
It was just a shadow that didn't look like it was this machine thing.
No.
Because you can see specifically all the bits of this machine. It's just in front of it. Just a little something. It's moving now. It's moving now, Tony. Middle of the building. Whoa. What the hell? That's weird. I mean, it might be an anomaly of the two torchlights. Maybe. I'm just trying to think what else that could have been.
Yeah, that was me. I said that was
That
me.
was me. And if that was you, what's your name? What's your name? Is that Mike?
Mike.
Are your brothers and sisters with you?
Lots on there tonight.
Who else? Who else is here? Who else is here?
That's your man.
What's your name? What's your name? It is absolutely. There's definitely a feel in this place. We've got a few other buildings to take a look at as well. I want to go through the side building where they kept all the paperwork and what have you. Possibly going to need your torch out here, Ken. Night vision in here might work. Oh, yeah, we're going to the tombs. There's a place here underground, and it's said that when this place was being strafed with enemy fire, they had to try and get as many people as possible into the tombs, which is down some stairs. It's below ground, and a lot of the patients that were already badly wounded in the hospital next door, a lot of them. What was that?
Did you hear that noise?
It was like talking, wasn't it?
Like a whine or something?
I heard that. Say that again.
Yeah.
What? What was it?
There was a white thing that just went like that across the ceiling. From there.
I heard the whine. I
there,
didn't see the thing.
Oh.
Maybe you've cut it on.
Not there.
Where?
Right, I think we need to just be quiet and just watch here. That was the weirdest thing. I've never seen with the naked eye that before.
Was it like an hole?
Yeah, from there, and it just floated and went across the ceiling.
But then you said it was there again. Where?
Then again, it was on that next to that wall there.
I heard the whine as well, which was just
It
weird.
was just here.
Do that again for us. What an echo in this place, mate. Answer us. Come on. If this is where you hang out, we're here for you. Come on. We're here with love and respect. Come on. Share with us. Come on. You wish to play, you're already taunting us. If you want to play, we'll play with you. But they took the injured people from the hospital next door into the tombs to avoid being blown up or further hurt by planes. And you've got to be so careful. We are going to get nettled to bits, mate, Kenny. Have you seen all this? The height of these? I already have, but barbed wire knee. I hear some. No, definitely. Watch your hands on the nettles, Matt. So from there, could you imagine if you've got patients with limbs missing, people that are badly burnt in there, and you've got to get them on a stretcher, down some stairs, into the tombs? Not easy. But hang on, this is the building that I thought we should take a look at. It's this one over here. I presume this is where, like, the nurses' station, or where the doctors did their prognostications.
Looks like little rooms, maybe where patients were.
It could be going to rain.
It feels
hang
like
on.
just touching your hand.
Hang on. The easiest way to do this is to bear a bit of flesh.
Not mosquitoes trying to eat you.
No. If you did this, it almost feels like there's little bits of on the wind.
Yeah.
On the wind. There's water in the wind.
Definitely water in.
Not from that water tower, is it?
No. This is it's light, but it's no. I'm getting it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And yet,
it's not
raining. If it was raining, you could rub your jacket and you'd get liquid. There's nothing there. Yeah. But I know what you're saying. Yeah. Did you hear that?
I heard that noise there in the grass.
Yeah. But it was like a tearing sound.
Yeah.
So, how do you get into this place? Presumably, the door would have been there, or probably here, looking at it. So this is small rooms, I presume, maybe rooms where you would go to get an arm fixed, or the doctors and nurses doing their thing, plying the trade. A room where you got to watch these nettles again, because these are stingy bitches. Right. Oh, just block built, but in there's enough room for a bed, maybe an examination room, perhaps. Got to be careful, because
to top-ranked Belgium in the last 16, Belgian manager Roberto Martinez says his side were able to adapt to what Portugal do well.
Which is do exactly what they need in the game to win. That's why they are the current champions of the Euros. They won the Nations League. They got an incredible experience and know how to take those moments that they hurt you.
The Czech Republic set up a quarter-final with Denmark after a 2-0 victory over 10-man Netherlands. Johanna Konta has had to withdraw from Wimbledon the day before the championships begin after a member of the British tennis number one's team tested positive for COVID. And Britain's Lewis Hamilton's second-place finish at the Styrian F1 Grand Prix leaves him 18 points behind championship leader Max Verstappen. From Sky News, I'm Tanya Snuggs.
Thanks, Tanya. Alan Robson with you, Greatest Hits Radio Northeast. We have 4 clues. Each clue is revolving around a greatest hit or a greatest hitster, and you got to work out what links all of the answers together. Here's your first 2 clues. See how well you fare. The first clue: this greatest hitster and his band sang about the Mull of Kintyre. This greatest hitster and his band sang of the Mull of Kintyre. That's clue number 1. Second clue, good luck with this. This greatest hit band are rubbish. That's the clue. This greatest hit band are rubbish. Okay? 2 clues down, 2 more clues to come. When you get the 4th clue, that's when you give us a call. We talked a little bit earlier about age gaps. How did you meet this old codger?
So where we worked, I work in the same kind of like shopping precinct as him. I was out in Whitley Bay and I said, yeah, I know you. And he says, oh yeah, with him working in the garage, he knows to buy cars. He goes, oh, you drive the Focus, don't you? Eh?
Right.
I thought, that's weird.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I asked his age. And he told me, and I said, no, you're not. I said, give me your ID, because he looks a lot younger.
Right.
He really does. And I said, no, you're not, you're lying. He says, give me your ID now. And he gave it. I was like, flipping heck, you are 28.
You were 20,
how was it?
obviously 20
Yeah.
at the time. Oh, when he's 57 and you're 49, will you...
I have to be his carer.
You have to be carer. There you go. Now, we also talked a bit about when pets attack you or attack other people.
A few weeks later again, I tried it again, and it was getting a bit, coming to us, letting it stroke it a little bit. So, right, I'll let the bird out,
Right.
Alan, as soon as I let that out the cage, it zoomed around the room and aimed straight for my face. I swear to God. It was like one of them little German planes, I
Right.
don't think I'm allowed to say it.
A Messerschmitt.
No, the other one with an F.
A Fokker. A little one. Right.
Alan, I had to duck, right? Else it would have took my eyes out. It went around again, done the same again. I ducked, went around the living room again, and the 3rd time I was ready for it. So I swept to one side and I hit it with the back of my hand. Not a nice thing to do,
No.
but I was scared.
You were
I
defending
really-
yourself. It was self-defense.
Luckily, it landed on this chair.
Right.
And it was like a soft leather recliner kind of chair, Alan, I got one of the perches out the stand off the cage and I went across to it. I said, get on there, you little bitch, And it looked up at me with little puppy dog eyes for all it was a little feathered one, Alan, it stood on the furthest edge of where the perch. But Ray, you come with me, get back in that cage kind of thing, Alan, as soon as I shut the door, it attacked us, right? Held on to my hand, and I swear to God, it drew blood 7 times in total in the one hand, my left hand.
So, have you ever bought a pet, had a pet, got given a pet, adopted a pet, or has your pet ever changed character when you got it? It's a different thing when it's a python.
Just used to roam around the house.
Do you know what it was? What kind of, any idea what type of snake?
Some
it was?
kind of python-y type thing, a
thing.
large snake.
Right.
And it had a tank thing, but it was free to roam around the house and what have you. She'd had it for a few years, and one morning it'd gone off its food, wouldn't eat anything, and was a bit kind of acting a bit strange.
Yeah.
One morning she woke up and the snake was lying next to her in bed, but ramrod straight right next to her in bed, and she was like, "Whoa, that's a bit weird." And
happens to me. That
she'd slight size difference, but she'd phoned her
would
friend.
be smaller, that's true. Right.
Phoned her friend to say, and you'll never guess what, the snake blower. And her friend said, right, grab what you can and get out the house. And she was like, what do you mean? And he said, just get out the house. Just grab what you need and go. Don't touch the snake. Don't go anywhere near it. Get out the house. So she did what he'd said. And it turns out that the snake was sizing her up for its next meal.
And they do that by going completely
lying
straight.
next to you to see if
you'll fit.
They're big enough to see if you'll fit. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What did she end up doing? Did you get shot of the snake?
They had to get rid of the snake, yeah. It was a case of,
It's either him or me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd never heard that before. How about that? Scary stuff. Has your pet ever attacked you or somebody else? How do you deal with it? Simple question. Let's move across to Russ, who is in Washington. Hello, Russ.
Hello, me funny. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. Thank you for calling. What can we do for you?
Mate, loads of things. It's always great to talk to you. I'm getting a bit of a regular.
Yeah, you are. That's a good thing.
I love it so. I love it so much.
Good.
Okay, so we're talking about the effects of love and whatever. You know?
Yes,
My biggest impact I've ever had, apart from my ex-wife and getting me 2 kids,
right,
was the experience in Thailand. Which I absolutely adored. It was a beautiful place. I used to visit regularly.
Right.
We're talking about 4 or 5 times a year.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, spent a lot of money, and I was going to buy a business over there, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was serious. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds it.
Yeah, I loved it. It was a period of over 5 years, and at the end of it, it was a disaster because my partner wouldn't agree to our agreement. It just came to a fruition where it wasn't going to work. So that was the end of it, which is very, very sad for me because, I spent thousands visiting over there. But anyway, it didn't come to fruition. But at the end of the day, I seen a beautiful country and experienced the life in Thailand, which was,
How easy is it to live there? I mean, can you just go and stay, or do you have to fill out your documentation to get permission to stay? I know they want tourists there, but are you able to reside?
You can, yes, but if you buy a property, you don't actually own it. The Thai people actually own the property that you purchased.
Right,
but
right.
I had plans to buy a beautiful bar with a seafront restaurant with a couple of jet skis, and it was only £47,000.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cheap chips.
Yeah. That's
and I was
great.
up for it,
I bet.
And I mean, I had a property to sell in the UK, which was worth 5 times that.
Right.
And I was all game for that. Anyway, it fell through well. It fell through, man.
What a shame.
Rotten shame, but at the end of
It is, because it's one of those things that you never know how amazing that will. I mean, it might not have worked, but you never know, and it's the not knowing that's the worst part of stories like that. Yeah.
Aye, exactly. Aye. I still go back because the place is just, it's my paradise on earth, like.
Yeah.
Right, okay. A different side of the coin, politicians.
Yes.
And the old COVID. Do you not just want to grab them and smack a fist in the face? Because I'm sick of it, mate.
Yeah.
They keep changing the goalposts. I mean, you know what? I can give much respect to Boris Johnson. He has done his uttermost best. And I'm proud of him.
Right.
But the rest of these do-gooders behind him, they're causing a fiasco, mate. And I just think it's going to cause more problems for the public who are abiding to their government.
Right. I mean, the thing that I found myself doing, and I mean, rightly or wrongly, and everybody can judge this if you have to judge a person, they can. I got to a point after about 2 or 3 months into the whole COVID thing when I used to enjoy, and enjoy is probably the wrong word, I used to quite like keeping up with the news and finding out what was in, local bulletins and national bulletins. But as soon as the COVID thing started, it just became a COVID number thing, and everything was COVID for the full half hour of the news. And after a couple of months, I'd had more than enough of that, and I found myself once a week I'll check the news, but on a daily basis, it was the same old, just the numbers changed. And
I'm with you on that,
I couldn't get my head around, am I really going to watch another half hour of being told the same thing? So I must admit, it just left me for pardon the pun, but left me for dead. And I didn't wish anybody to be harmed like everybody else. But I just wasn't going to wallow in it every day and if you watch news shows across the day, and there's entire news channels that 24/7 was telling you what was happening here, what was happening in Scotland, what was happening in France, okay, I know what's going on, but I just don't want to wallow in it, And
yeah, exactly.
Blimey. It did do everybody's heads in. And, I mean, you could argue how well they were doing that for our own good. Maybe, but I'll do, okay, what have I got to do? Got to do that, fair enough. I'll protect myself, other people, and my family. But I just don't want to listen to that 24/7.
I agree with you 100%. 100%.
Right.
Well said, mate.
Right.
Okay, a completely different topic.
What's that?
Car park tickets.
Oh, go for it. What's your story?
I go to socials many times with my kids.
Right.
They love the beach.
Yeah.
I don't know when it changed, but recently you have to put your registration into the old box thing where you pay your car park tickets.
All right.
Like that a year ago.
You print it in like a telephone number kind of thing.
Aye.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen them. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's changed because previously you just paid your money, got your ticket
in the car,
and if you're only there a couple of hours, you can pass your ticket on to the guy coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I've been here 2 hours. You can have your ticket.
Yeah.
You can't do that now.
No, because as soon as you put the registration on, you're scuppered for passing it on. That's probably what's going to happen everywhere. Hasn't reached sea houses yet, as I testified earlier, where people were just coming in and I've got 5 hours on this. I've only been here 2 hours. Pass it on, and then the same space has had like different vehicles for the next 3 hours. I think that's lovely. And hey, as long as the space is paid for, what odds does it mean to other people?
Yes, that's my point exactly. The point has been paid. Okay, you paid for it. I paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't you pass that on as long as it's valid for the time?
Well, presumably they want to make 3 times the money for the same spot. Oh, I mean that's the truth of it. It's all about the money, but it's just not fair. All of these places that we're talking about, South Shields included, or name any beach resort up and down the northeast coast, or any country town or village. There's thousands of them dotted around the place. They all want tourists to come. But if you come, it's £2 an hour. Whoa! Hang on. You don't want people to come that badly then, do you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Crazy. We should be able to pass on those tickets, but I do think those machines that have your registration on, I think they're here to stay. I can't see them changing that back to the old ways. And that's a shame, because in a strange sort of way, we're just getting back to talking to people again. And especially people that we don't know following the whole COVID easing, not the end, but the easing. And I found myself talking to loads of different people who were knocking on me. Do you want me to? Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, hey, you've just arrived. I'm saying, do you want to take? Oh, yeah, we've just come down from Inverary. Oh, lovely. That's a lovely part of the world. Oh, it's a lovely day here. And I'm talking to people that I didn't know 10 minutes ago. And all of this is good. But they're trying to stop it so they can give me another £2.
I get the same when I go to the likes of the let's think here, Airfield of Ulster, you know.
Yeah.
National Trust, and I'm in the National Trust, and obviously I don't need to pay. I just take
your card with
ticket
you.
up and flash it over, free parking. Don't need to pay nothing.
You swanky lot, right?
You get the eyes looking at you. What's they doing? Like, you know, what's this? Yeah, National Trust. You know, thing like, you know, and it saves you an absolute bloody fortune.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a brilliant thing. It's only £10 a month.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. And then you can go you can go to any National Trust property as well.
Yeah.
That's good.
2 visitors to Gibbside, and that's your membership paid for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I hear that, and it's a good thing to be in because it helps support the buildings and the properties that we're talking about as well. In there,
I'm all for that, mate.
That's good stuff. Anything else then?
One last topic, Alan.
Come on in.
Yeah. I hear there's a county football match on Tuesday night.
Right.
So, what's your point of view? Your honest opinion. How do you think their fellas are going to
when Scotland played England, I was kind of on the Scottish side because they were fighting and they were grafting and they were sweating and they were playing above themselves. And England were playing below themselves. And everybody got excited about the first England game, which frankly was dull, and they were lucky to win 1-0. The Scottish game was, I thought, like a chess match. I did actually enjoy that. I don't even want to get hopeful about this game because I've looked forward to so many England games and then sat there and watched them pass sideways and backwards for the whole game, and it really irritates me because they keep telling us that they've got the talent that could easily win the Euros, and yet they play like donkeys and everything's passing backwards, and I'm thinking they do know the goals up the other end, don't they? You know, no, let's pass back to the keeper, back to the back line, back to the middle lane, and I was raised on attacking football. Charge! Don't stop till you score. What's happened to all of that?
Exactly. Keegan Stackness. We will score one more goal than you will.
That is exactly how I feel about it, for sure. And I don't care if they, and I know everybody's talking about clean sheets and all the rest of it. I don't care if they've let 5 in as long as the team that we're supporting scored 6.
Yes.
I'm happy with that.
I just want to see our lads go for it.
I agree. And
they've got a gun for it.
And play with a proper pride for the shirt. Because it's annoying. The Scots had it, you see. The Scots had that pride. They were fighting. They wanted to stick the English face in the mud. They wanted to do that. And you could see it. And that's kind of why I thought, get on, my son. You know, because the English weren't playing like that. None of them.
I was rooting for the Scots, without a doubt.
It's difficult having a foot over a foot in each country. It's actually, it does make you kind of think, hey, you know, do we really want to be with the Southern Jess, or do we want to be with the wild Scot? Tempting, isn't it?
True. I mean, I was absolutely good for Wales yesterday. They were outclassed, outplayed. Gareth Bale, God bless him. There's only one man in the team, and I was absolutely gutted for them, you know.
It's a shame. And somebody said afterwards, I think it was Micah Richards, said this might just be a tournament too early because there's a lot of 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds in the team, and this will give them a taste of the big games. It might do them well for years to come. I hope that's true. But they were totally outplayed. They
were.
And they got wore down by the end of it. And the right team won, and there was lots of goals. So as somebody that like an outsider to both of them, it was fun for the rest of us. But I did feel sorry for the Welsh because they've come a long way.
Yeah, I was gutted for the Welsh. Yeah, sure. Full marks. Wherever. But I'm terrified for Tuesday. I'm absolutely brooking it now, to be honest with you. reckless, you know.
And it's always them Germans. That's the thing. We've got to win. We've got to beat the Germans. 1-0 will do with the Germans. Just it should have been 3 against the Croats. Anyway, lovely talking to you, Russ. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Al.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. So there is Russ. Oh, we got another, I wish to remain anonymous, this one. In regards to the conspiracy theorist on earlier, I think he was on the right track. He just explained it poorly. I've had time to think about this whole thing, and it doesn't add up. You really have to question the decisions of our government or even other world leaders when they have an invested financial interest in keeping us locked down with vaccine distribution. We've had Matt Hancock giving himself the contract to supply PPE, and it's a good distraction from poor legislation being passed and poor Brexit deals being made that are against the best interests of the public and better for the pockets of the Tories. Coincidentally, the figures for regular flu are at an all-time low, while COVID figures are high. Maybe the virus is real, but being dragged out for the rich to get richer. Who knows? There's much more than I can say, but I'm not sure you have the time. Well, thank you very much. I don't trust any of the politicians. Never have. Always said that. And the future. History will tell. And then we can all go back and say, that's what we will, all together. As soon it's probably going to take 20 years, right? But in 20 years, we'll all go, just you watch. 01991 488 3188. Wild things attacking you. We've had pets. Have you ever been attacked by a wild thing?
I got myself into such a state that I jumped up with this bloody pigeon, dug its claws in my head, and I'm running round Royal Square like a complete and utter lunatic with this pigeon hanging on, flapping its wings and poofing all down my back.
Oh, no!
I'm not kidding you. I was not a pretty sight at the end of that. It was rank.
But why would it land on your head?
I don't know. Maybe you thought it was a bit of a mess. Maybe you thought it was like a nest or something. You know, decided it was going to sort of roost in there, possibly. I don't know. But honestly, I was honestly traumatized by the end of it. You should have seen my scalp. My scalp was actually bleeding when it sort of took its claws. But I mean, my family just sat and laughed.
Yeah, what about that? Has a wild thing. Make my heart sing. Has a trog ever attacked you? Has a wild thing ever attacked you? Do tell. Let's go to Sunderland where we find Amanda. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, darling. How can we help you tonight? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about a few things, actually. I've been talking to you for a long time.
Thank you.
I'm just, I've followed you forever, and it's just all of this, this crap that's going on now. Mm-hmm. Like, do we get the injection? Do we not do the injection? Mm-hmm. Do we follow what they are saying, the politicians? Because now I'm feeling like, at the moment, like before this happened with the, I didn't want to get the injection.
Right.
And now he's come out and obviously he's having an affair with these little, who he's brought in. Ah. It's just really hard because I've got a partner who is like really poorly. He's got liver conditions, right, which is not through alcohol.
Right.
So he's trying to look after himself. He's listening to everything, and I mean everything.
Well, it's enough to scare you witless. If you watch the news every day and you've got a health issue, you'll be on tenterhooks every day.
Yes, but he's looking at the things that the BBC are not publishing, kind of thing. Like he's looking at in America where now it's getting to where it's the children are getting like immunisations, but now they've got heart problems, and it's what he's reading. And so, what do you do for the best?
Well, first of all, you stop reading the things that because people are printing. There's a lot of rubbish out there that isn't true and doesn't have any basis on reality. Because there's always a million conspiracy theories. And,
I know that.
And as soon as there is any issue of any kind, there'll be a theory that comes along and says, they're all the Illuminati. They're all trying to kill us. They're all so there's loads of them. What he has to do is...
It's really bad. He's really bad at reading everything, Alan.
But what he should do is listen to what his own GP tells him. And forget what he hears on television or whatever. Speak to the GP. He has a moral and legal right to tell your man the truth. And if he fails to do that...
That's the issue, isn't it?
That's the issue. Do you believe your own doctor or not?
Yes. Do you believe your own doctor, or do you believe what the people are telling you?
Yeah, well, I know my doctor.
Yes.
Do I know that he's telling me the absolute truth? I hope so. It's kind of like your dentist. You want these people to know what they're doing, but
definitely.
But I would probably rather trust somebody that I had a knowledge of and had spoken to on a few dozen occasions, who had previously always tried to get me right when I was wrong. I'd rather trust somebody like that than a politician any day of the week.
See, that's what I've been trying to say to him. Like he keeps saying, well, you can't trust these people. And then I keep saying, well, how can you trust this person? So how do you trust one over the other?
I think at some stage, though, because let's say, heaven forbid, he gets super ill, more sick than he is now.
Well, he is going to get super ill in the future because he's got liver conditions and there's nothing we can do about it, and it's nothing to do with drink.
But they're not going to take him. But you see, if and when that happens, they're not going to rush him to the House of Commons. They're going to rush him to a hospital and the local doctor, and it's those people that I would rather trust, because they don't have any reason to tell us any lies. They just want to get you well. I hope that's what they're for. And the National Health Service, that's what the whole damn thing's built on. So I can distrust as many MPs as you like, but I like to think that when I'm in a hospital, that doctor's going to do their best, him or her, to make you as well as you possibly can. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
That's what I keep trying to say to him. Like, he is going to, in fact, in future, need, help, like liver transplants and stuff, even though he isn't an alcoholic or anything like that. Like, I'm not saying it like that. Like, he's got 2 liver conditions, and he's really sick.
Right.
And he's got bowel conditions, and...
I understand it's nothing to do with drink or that. I've got that. But whatever the health condition is, whatever part of the body it is, doesn't change the fact that ultimately, at some stage, he's going to have to be relying on a doctor, male or female, to look after him. And if that's the case, aren't they the people you should trust?
Well, that's where I'm trying to say to him. But then he's looking into these other things with COVID.
Yeah, well, but you see, there's a million books on conspiracy theories. If you go on the internet, you can disappear down rabbit holes. But who are these people?
That's what I'm trying to say to him.
Who are those people? And because
I
know there's a web stream. I'm not going to name it for obvious reasons.
Yes. Exactly.
But I know of a web stream that you can go on, and every single story in the news is explained to you, and they're all conspiracies. Everything's a conspiracy. This building, that building that collapsed on all those innocent people down in Miami, there's a story, there's a conspiracy theory behind that. And you think, well, whoa, the building was badly built, and it had water down the basement, rotting the foundations.
Yes.
So where's and it's not helpful to come out with stuff like that when there's people in the ruins right now who might still be alive. Yes. I think when it comes to your own life, forget conspiracy theories. Stick with the people that can fix you.
So see, now at the minute, I don't feel like I can get the injection.
Why?
Because I don't feel like it's right, because they've actually said, it doesn't stop you getting it. It doesn't stop you getting COVID. It doesn't stop you, transmitting it. So why should I get it?
To protect yourself and to protect everybody else that you have dealings with.
Yeah, but Alan, I've worked all of the last year in COVID, in that full COVID situation, I've worked.
Yeah.
So I've never caught it, so why should I get that injection?
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
There were people during the Black Death who worked right the way through it, and they never got it too. a third of the population died. You know,
Yeah.
you cannot just say, well, just because I haven't got it, that makes it all right.
No, I'm not saying that, but you know what I mean? It's just
I hear
kind
you,
of,
and I understand. And
yeah.
it's kind of like, and I'm going to oversimplify it. It's kind of like, have you ever seen a ghost? If you haven't, you don't believe it, because you've got to see it to believe it. You don't believe in the whole COVID thing until you've got COVID. If you got COVID and your man's as sick as you say he is,
I think my whole family's had COVID in the last 2 weeks.
Could you imagine, though, if you didn't get the injection, you caught COVID, and he ended up suffering because of it?
I know, but it's just, I don't know, it's just mad. It's just like...
You see, it's personal choice, and I'm not pushing.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not pushing you to do it. Don't think I am.
I know what you mean.
I respect your view, but
I know.
You just
I love you to bits. I love you to bits.
Well, thank you, Don. But what I don't want is for you, 5 months down the road.
Do you think that my grandband should get it? Should my grandbands get the injection?
You see, that to me, that's too big a call. This is because this is actually bigger than all of us. This whole damn thing. I got juked. I got the damn things because the world was getting them. We were told you can't travel unless you get them. You got to get. So I'm probably, if these conspiracy theorists are right, I shouldn't be able to walk for magnets because there's magnets all over this building.
Yeah.
But I haven't got anything sticking to me. The bottom line is I got them for the reasons because my doctor told me because of my medical condition, I should get X. Now, the same doctor tells me to get the flu one, and I don't get that. Would I get it every year? I don't know. I'd have to wait and see about all of this.
So then you getting the COVID one.
Yeah.
So if you've got to get reminded to get the COVID
it might become a year thing.
Every year.
But if that stops us going back into lockdown again, that's a jucking worth having.
See, that's my issue. Why does it stop us going back into lockdown? And you see these other countries where
they say
things in America.
We're only coming out because the numbers fell because the vast majority of people were getting injected and therefore being able to
but now
fight
they're
it off.
rising again because of this other.
Because everybody's mixing and ignoring what they were told.
One, but the other countries and like I say, America and stuff, they're just going on with the daily jobs. Well, not the daily jobs, sorry, the daily life.
Yeah, well, the things
that
normal. The things that we've had to do. I mean, the team here, even we have a test before we do any show anywhere. We it's up the nose. It's in, it's back of the throat. Every single time because we don't have a choice. We've got to take it seriously. And
I just don't believe it, Alan. I just don't.
Well, that's absolutely up to you, and I respect your view.
No, honestly, I just like they say so many percentage of them are negative, and they could be positive, or so many could be positive, and they could be negative.
You see, this is all down to who you believe. If you believe the conspiracy theorists, and your husband does because he's reading those sites. Therefore, you go down that road. The majority of people, and we're talking kind of probably about 80-20, the other 80% all think if we all get protected from this, we'll be all right. Do you remember the whole AIDS thing?
Yes.
Because it could be argued that you would be the one still having sex without a condom. Yes. Because you think, well, I've never caught it yet. But as long as you're still doing that, you're still putting other people at risk.
I think the thing was as well, because when he's been caught out having an affair with his kid,
yeah,
and he was telling all these people not to have sex.
Well,
which was kind of like go right or.
Yeah. But, no, it's a double standard. He can't defend that.
It's like, who do you trust?
Well, trust your doctor, your own GP.
And I just think, like I say, my partner now, he's the way he is, and he is really poorly. And he'll end up needing liver help and stuff like that. And I just think if you can just go with the flow, which is what we've done. Like I've worked
Well, you haven't,
all
you
the
see.
way through lockdown.
No, but you've gone against the flow because the flow
Yes,
is
I have.
the flow is the majority of people, and
Yes,
the
so I've
majority
gone
of people have
against the
erred
flow.
on the side of caution as they see it. All I would say is, listen, what does your doctor say? If your doctor says that you should get the jab and your grandchildren should get the jab,
I would never ever give my grandchildren a jab.
well, what if they get it?
I would never give my grandchildren a jab, Alan.
What if they got it?
No, because do you know what? I've spoken to a few friends lately, and they've had the first jab.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to a friend the other day, and her sister died.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to do with the jab, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 weeks prior, her sister has had the jab, and then she had a stroke.
Right.
And they couldn't find out why.
Okay.
And the
Yeah,
doctor
but you see,
was trying to ring her all the time. And
Did
saying,
a doctor say that was because of the jab?
No, but the doctor was just like, you need to get the jab. You need to get the jab. And she was just like, no, because she was so fit and healthy. And she was just like, no.
Yeah, but we see people doing marathons who die, and they're the fittest people on earth, and people die. That's what happens. However, you want your best chance at surviving and keeping yourself and the people you love safe.
I just think
and you're choosing not to, and that's your right.
Oh, definitely. Totally. I totally agree with you.
I've got to move on because we've gone round this garden 3 or 4
Right,
times.
no bother, no bother.
You're never going to get the other side.
I know.
And I hear
right,
that.
I know.
But
anyway, I love you loads.
Love you too. Thank you for coming on. Bye-bye. We agree to disagree about that kind of thing when it comes to the health of kids. What happens, though, if you're living with somebody who completely doesn't believe? Does that impact on you? Well, I can't have it because he doesn't believe in it. Or do you listen to your doctor? That's the difference. 0191 488 3188. Dave says, I'm panicking. I've heard people who've had the AstraZeneca vaccine are being denied access to concerts and public events. That's David in Cullercoats. Is there a hierarchy of jabs now? I got the AstraZeneca, and I've not been denied access to anything. These kind of stories go around again by people who believe that everything is a conspiracy, and they're just 99 times out of 100 there's no truth behind it. It's just a good story that's being cooked up. 0191 488 3188. I just want to play a tune where we can put your hand in the air and go woo woo when the train goes by.
What this is, so it'll not be terribly secure. I wouldn't have thought. So be careful. Right, that's what it does. Small, tiny little rooms. Ow. Yeah, I think this is definitely. You can imagine rooms, but why would you have a gap like that between two rooms?
Don't understand that. Privacy?
Well, you got privacy with a wall, but be real careful, yeah, Kenny. There. Ow.
Like stretchers.
Stretchers. Maybe I think probably beds. They look like the small rooms for examination, or maybe if they wanted to work on it. But you've got to be careful when you see the whole. Ouch! When you see the whole walls coming down, you see. You've just got to be. And I know the metal strands kind of hold it. Watch your head, Tony. There's a thing there too. Wow, what a place. What a place. What you getting, Kenny?
There's noises here.
There's noises here?
Definitely noises here. You get it? There's noises here, definitely. like all around here.
What kind of noise?
From there was like a thud, like a studdy noise.
Right.
And then as if something was going through the grass.
Well, there's got to be wildlife here. There was
There's got to be. Got to be.
I mean, we saw a few.
We saw deer and stuff.
We saw a few bits.
You wouldn't thought it would be. No. Well, there's people because they normally fly away from people, don't they?
But we're also going to a burial ground a little bit later on as well. Not a cemetery. Don't think it's a cemetery, but it's a place where people and animals are buried. So we're heading in that area. You can see those buildings here as well. Nature's taken them back, but they were definitely here, leading up presumably to that, which at one point would have had a floor on the top of it before the water tower was built, and you'd be able to overlook the landing field, which is over there. But look at that. Oh, blimey, there's got to be stuff about in here. I felt stuff in that mortuary, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't know what the tombs is going to be like that, because we've only looked down. We looked down at where it is, and we said in the daylight we didn't want to go in there. But we're going in the next half hour or so. Right, come on. Let's get cracking. I want to have a... Oh, what the hell? Look at that. Does that look like any kind of plant you've ever seen?
Never.
What the hell's that? Mutant bulbous weirdness. I'm going to get back.
You know, they've got bombs and stuff like that here.
Yeah, well, they were trying to disrupt
Could there be like chemicals in them that make stuff like that?
Chemicals? I don't think so. But it's just, if you look over here, it does look very much... Ow, what the hell? It does look very much like... It's... this is not comfortable underfoot. Watch your step down here, Ken. Yeah, you can see where they've had buildings on all of this. You wouldn't put concrete down here for any other reason, would you? And there's a beautiful skyline that we'll probably not be able to see on camera. And can you? This is, you know what they're talking about. If you knock the torches out, can you bring the big torch? Because you've got the field here, which at one time was an airfield. What we've got to do is let's just scan it from one side to the other.
Yeah.
But we'll start together at the top end, up there, and let's.
Slowly, yeah.
Absolutely, because it's said that the spirit walks across the old landing strips. There's one from the place we're going next where I'll tell you the story of a guy who landed, died, but he was laughing when he died, and he said that well, there was something over there, Ken. Can you say a little, just in the middle for no apparent reason? What the hell's that? Yeah. My torch just doesn't have the coverage of yours, man. But I'll follow you. I'll follow you. But it said that he walks across the other field that I'm taking you to, and he's called Cheery Charlie because he was laughing when he died of third-degree burns. You know, he takes a certain kind of courage that I'm not sure I would ever have. Lots of flying things here, I mean, isn't it? Apart from the midges. You just got to look. People at home will probably see more than we do, because when we were doing our debrief yesterday, that image of the black figure that we caught on camera, and we both saw it at the time. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Well, that one's the mouth.
Did you hear that there?
Did you catch it at home?
Did you hear that there? Yeah, that was an honestly aeroplane engine there. There?
Listen.
Does sound like a plane. And he did say there was no flights tonight.
There's no flights tonight.
That's a plane.
That was a modern plane, though. That was
Car parks are here.
Yeah, I've just been listening tonight. We've been talking about some good stuff.
Thank you. So, what's your car park story then?
I've got a couple.
All right.
One went to go on holiday with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And we had a Jack Russell 6'2" dog. And we got to Scarborough and we went to a car park.
Mm-hmm.
But then we got out of the car park into a lift.
Mm-hmm.
And then quickly realised we were heading for the indoor shopping area with a dog, like in the lift.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
And I said, you know what I mean, we'll have to get out of here, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think we're allowed in here, you know what I mean? We'll have to get out as fast as we can.
Yeah.
And then a man in the lift said, don't worry, you're going out anyway. So anyways, we got out of the shopping centre. Luckily, the dog didn't wee or, got the toilet anywhere. We went straight to the dog. We really didn't know.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, they're not allowed in there, but we didn't know, where we were going.
Right, sure. Yeah, you're in a new place.
That caused a bit of a confusion.
Right.
So when we came back, because we couldn't take the shopping centre,
Mm-hmm.
I went back to the car while my boyfriend brought the dog round the outside of the car park.
Right.
He had to walk up a ramp that was forever. He said it was steep.
Yeah,
and it's absolutely boiling hot. Right, and then, anyways, I'm not the driver, so I can't, you know what I mean, to take the car out.
Uh-huh.
So then we tried to drive out the car park, and we couldn't get out because we didn't have a ticket. So I was like, oh no, what's going on now? Just going, well, we can't get out.
And I bet you were at the gate. You didn't have a ticket, and then the cars are starting to pile up behind you. Oh, nightmare.
Yeah, so I said to him, well, we can't get out. I said, move away from the parking thing.
Oh, dear.
And watch what everybody else was doing.
Uh-huh.
So anyways, this car went past and they popped this coin into the machine.
Right.
I said, look, you haven't got your coin. Where is it? I said, you have to go back up now. I said, we'll have to sort it out.
Right.
So he went before back.
What a class.
I got out the car. He was going to me. I said, you'll have to go to the helpline. He's going, yeah, and I'll have to go because you've got the dog. All right. Is that right? Well, I'm not the driver. I'm not the driver.
It's just frustration, and it's whoever he was with would have got the same kind of bail.
No, he never loses. He never really loses it. He's quite a good lad, and I thought it was quite funny. But anyway, I seen him going to the phone. I was watching him out the window.
Yeah.
And then he came back and said that we were getting a fine for £20 because we didn't have a ticket.
Oh, blame me, what?
Yeah, I know, yeah. I said, you're joking me, aren't you? He said, yeah, I am joking. He's going to let us out. I said, all right. So you get me back here because I couldn't get out the car because I had the dog.
Right.
And you had to go and sort it out. And you wanted me to do it.
Yeah, of course.
He was just laughing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so funny, but one time, here, I've got a cup of tea, sorry.
Jackie, I've got to stop you for a second. I've got all my timings muxed up, so just stay on the line. I will come back to you, I promise. Just hang on in there. We're going to go back for Jackie Part 2. However, we're going to take a very swift break, and we're going to be back on end of this. It's just trying to fit everything in because there's so many of you that want to get on. Quick piece of music, then the news. Oh, I tell you what, that's a good idea. We'll miss that out altogether. Instead, we're going to have a quick break now and the news, come straight back and talk to Jackie. So hang on in there.
The main stories this hour. The new Health Secretary's been told he needs to engage with the Royal College of Nursing to regain the confidence of nurses. Acting General Secretary and Chief Executive Pat Cullen says morale is extremely low.
Most of them haven't been able to take their annual leave or had any time off, and yet they've just been quiet in their unassuming way, moving into the next crisis within the health service. But doing that with a really depleted workforce, that's very, very difficult.
Sajid Javid's replaced Matt Hancock as Health Secretary after he resigned on Saturday evening. It's after he admitted breaching social distancing rules. Authorities in Florida say they've given the families of those still unaccounted for after a building partially collapsed the chance to privately visit the site. Mayor of Miami-Dade County, Daniela Levine Carver, says it's something the relatives requested. 9 people are confirmed dead and 152 others are still missing. Mayor of Surfside, Charles Burkett, says the search goes on.
This is going to be a rescue operation for the indefinite future. We are not stopping until we pull every resident out of that rubble and reunite them with their families.
A campaign begins today to raise awareness of what people can and can't post on social media during an active court case. It's called Think Before You Post and aims to highlight the dangers of prejudicing the judicial process online. Sport. Belgium are through to the quarter-finals of Euro 2020 after knocking out holders Portugal 1-0 in their last 16 tie in Seville. The world's top-ranked nation will next face Italy. 10-man Netherlands suffered a shock exit after losing 2-0 to the Czech Republic in Budapest. British tennis number 1 Johanna Konta's had to withdraw from Wimbledon on the eve of the championships. She's pulled out after a member of her backroom team tested positive for COVID. And Britain's Lewis Hamilton slipped further behind Formula One standings leader Max Verstappen after finishing second behind his title rival at the Styrian Grand Prix. From Sky News, I'm Tanya Snuggs.
Thank you, Tanya. Alan Robson with you. It is Greatest Hits Radio North East. Thank you very much for being with us. We're in the middle of a conversation with Jackie, and then I'm going to give you your third clue, but I'm going to get straight to that lady right now. Hi, Jackie.
Hello.
The exciting part 2 of Jackie from Stockton. What else you got for us, Jack?
Well, it was here, Tesco's. I live near the town centre in Stockton.
Right.
And our Tesco's is massive here, but it's
is.
out into a place called Hardwick.
It is, yeah. It is an absolute whopper.
Yeah, that big one.
Yeah.
Notties Hospital is there as well, isn't it?
It is, that's right.
Just on the other side before you get to the other side of Hardwick. It's about a mile long, isn't it, that? Anyways, we was there and we got shopping and stuff, and we came to the car and he was putting stuff in the boot. And I said, I'll go and take the trolley back because he messes on. Oh, put this one next to that. Look, you can't put that there because that will fall over. You know, you need this over there. Oh, get on with it then. So I took the trolley back. Right. So hot summer's day.
Yeah.
Back car park. Went back. Here he is, jumping up and down with a tissue around his little finger. I was like, what are you doing? He's going... I've shot my finger in the boot. I went, you what? You've done what? And, you know, when you feel like you're on a roller coaster, you know, and I was like, is it fell off? Is it hanging off? You know what I mean? What's he done to it exactly? Oh, I think it's worse than shooting it on your finger, what he'd done. I said to him, what have you done? He said, I got it trapped in the boot. I said, I know, but how are you not missing your finger? Do you know what I mean? Because obviously if it was in the boot, your finger would be missing, wouldn't it?
You'd think the end would be in there, yeah.
Well, somewhere maybe. And what he's done, right, is you know the gaps along both sides of the boot.
Yeah.
You know where it closes, where the gaps are.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, he got...
Well, hang on, there shouldn't be any gaps, really, should there?
No, but there is when your boot's open.
Oh, yes, of course there is, yes. I see what you're saying, right.
Yeah, you open the boot, don't you? And you stand at the back of the boot and you get shopping in and out.
Correct.
And then you've got the 2 hinges on either side that goes up to the roof.
Yeah, to slam the door down on, yes.
And when you put the boot door down, the 2 sides of the gaps close as well, don't they?
Yes, that's right.
Into the boot. Am I saying it right?
And that's where he caught his pinky, was it?
Yeah, well, yeah, he ended up in there. Right. And he only told me tonight that the car keys, he'd fully shut the boot. His car keys were in the opposite pocket.
Oh.
So he had to clamber around to the other side of his pocket with his finger in the crack. And I was like, you want to go to hospital? No, I'm all right. It's all right. I went, you've got to take your fingers. It's bruised. It's bleeding. I'm surprised I haven't broke it.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to go to the hospital? Because I'm all right. It hasn't hurt. I can cope with it. It's now that, now.
It's a man pain.
Yeah, a man pain, yeah.
Because you see, it's because you women have babies, you've got this extra pain threshold that we don't have, you see. That's what it is.
Well, that's what people say, but I think that everybody's got their own pain, haven't they? You know what I mean?
So.
Some
Absolutely.
people say.
So how's
but
his
it comes
pinky
away.
now? I mean, is he still able to drink tea?
Yeah, it was all right. It went down after a while.
Right.
But another time, I think people in Stockton-on-Tees, you won't know, but the people who live here probably will.
Mm.
But in this town centre, there's a multi-storey car park.
Yes, big one.
And it's opposite the river, isn't it? One of the entrances.
Uh-huh.
Do you know it's got like we call it the curly-whirly car park?
What you mean because of the way you drive up it?
Yeah, because it goes round in a curl.
Yeah, it's not one of those standard ones where you drive to the end, go up a ramp, along to the other end, up a ramp. It's curly-whirly right the way at the top and to the bottom and to come back down again. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, it's been snowing, but it wasn't heavy.
Right.
Anyways, we park up there all the time. He always uses that. I know there's another entrance at the other end. It's just like showing off, basically. And then, anyways, from the town, he was calling the car park. I said, where are you going, you? I said, so I'm going to the car park. I said, you're going up the curly-whirly in the snow. Are you mad?
Yeah.
No, I can get up that. It's not snowing that much. I said, isn't it?
Right.
All right, then. You do it then, and we'll see, won't we, who's right. Anyway, went up there, got all the way up, and there was a lady at the top, stuck, couldn't move her car, right? So she's like so many metres down from the top before you get into it, and we're going like nearly halfway down, and we were waiting behind her, and you know what that's like. I mean, you've got to keep your handbrake on and everything, you know what I mean? And it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there was no snow on the first part of it, because it's like a roof, isn't it? It goes on like a roof.
Yeah, of course.
So on the top, it's just the snow. So anyway, I then had to get out the car, go up to the lady. I said, look, I said, what's wrong? I said, don't worry. I said, don't worry. I said, put your handbrake on. I said, don't panic. Keep your handbrake on. I said, if you call for any help.
Right.
She said, oh, yes. I said, right, well, make sure they come and we'll watch the cars behind.
Right.
Anyways, he was stuck. So then I seen another car come on. So then I got out the car again and went down early.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, you know what I mean? It's not us men that stuck. There's a lady at the top. And she can't get up, and, you know, we can't back out because we're too far up now.
Yeah.
I said, it's up to you if you want to risk it, you know what I mean? They said, oh, yeah, we're going. Anyway, they had to get 2 men turned up, workmen with all the kit on, you know, the coats and 2 spades. Had to dig the lady out, pull a load of the, you know, the stuff that melts it.
Yeah.
I had to melt it all before we could get her and us off it.
What a
right?
clot that is, right?
And I don't know nothing about cars. And she said to my boyfriend, I'm really sorry. And it's apparently, I think it was a 4-wheel car, and that's why she was having problems.
Right. I would have thought a 4-wheel would have been easier to get up in a 4-wheel.
Well,
but anyway.
I don't know what that means. I mean, he might have said something else, you know what I mean? But
You might have said you need a 4-wheel drive and she didn't have one. Or...
Well, I think maybe she was blaming the car and not driving.
Right.
Maybe.
Because there's nothing worse than if you're in snow and all your wheels are turning but
Yeah,
you're not
I know.
moving. I mean, that is a nightmare. But hey, what a clot! What an absolute clot!
I
It
know.
does sound like you and your lad's a bit of a comedy act, though. I mean, he puts up with you, and you got a lot to put up with by the sound of
Oh,
things.
no, I've got some good news.
What's that?
You were saying earlier what you do to love people.
Yeah, things you do for love.
Well, he helps my reading and writing. I'm dyslexic.
Right.
And I have psoriasis on my hands, and he helps my cooking. But obviously I have these things that I can do. So it's like you can do this and I can do that. And he got a job recently in a care home.
Right.
And he said it's the most rewarding, lovely, beautiful job that he's ever had. And he's like well over 50 now.
Right.
And he said the other day, he said what happened was it was a lady's birthday and he had a party for her and she was at 101.
Oh, how great is that?
And he's getting all his COVID stuff and things like that. I've had my injections, he's had his. At the end of the day, everything you could have a risk. It doesn't mean to say it has a risk. But what I agree with is people getting well and people staying well.
100%. Well said.
He does quite a lot for me, really. You know what I mean? He's like very caring person. But yeah, we are a good comedy act. We work off each other. Like if I go around like to my dad's house and he comes, like he gets it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, like I'm going off the subject. I was listening earlier to somebody was talking about a parrot or something or a bird.
Yeah, attacking them. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Marv's got a parrot, and she's always attacking him.
Right. Did you train her to do that?
Oh, you've just spoiled the fun now, haven't you? You just spoiled the fun. You spoiled the fun. He came in when he was at his other job. Sometimes he didn't come in till 10 or 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the parrot will be on the top of the cage. Now, the cage is a proper man-sized parrot cage. It's got legs on that are about 3 foot up.
Right.
And then the cage goes from the legs to another 3 foot up or something.
Gotcha.
About 4 or 5 foot tall.
Right.
Probably a big cage it's got. It's got everything it needs, toys a lot,
right.
for food and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, like you said, I've stopped it from doing it now. I've had it quite a few years now. So I'd hear him, you know, put my boot down in the car because he had a uniform, and I'd go like, "Here he is, Harriet," and then she'd sit on the top of the cage. And then while you heard him open the front door, he was, "Oh, get him, Harriet! Go on, get him!" And she flew on the side of his glasses and flew off. And then she flew onto the mirror in the front room. And he said, "That parrot is just bit me in the face." And I was just laughing. I was just laughing. He didn't know I'd set it on him.
No, you wicked woman. You wicked lass.
I know, another time. This must be my secret thing that was on a few weeks ago. Another time, he was coming in the heard room. Heard the daughter was going, "Harriet, get him, Harriet." And she flew onto the middle of his glasses this time. And she was hanging on the middle of his glasses, and he was going, "Get it off now. Get it off now before I bat it." I said, "You're not batting it anyway." So I was having a glass of wine, and I had to go over with a glass of wine to get her to get on the glass of wine, to get him off his glasses, sorry.
Yeah, what a carry.
And he did that because that's how I trained it, with an empty wine glass, you know, like for a perch.
Yeah, yeah.
And I trained it because one night when I first got it, I had the cage open on it. It opens at the top and the bottom, like in the middle. And she came out. I first got her. She started flying at me. Right. And I got frightened because she looked mean. And then she went back into her cage. And then she did it again. And then I realised that she wanted to get onto the glass. So I let her, and she did. And then ever since then, I just treated it as a perch, you know. If I wanted to take from the front room to the kitchen, get on, Harriet, you know.
Harriet, I even love the name. I must move on, Jackie, but thank you so much. Great stories.
Can I
Loved them.
Can I just say why the parrot's called Harriet?
Yeah.
When we got it, it was a boy called Harry.
All right, I see.
And it is a boy, but I had a boy dog. So when I was saying to the bird, "Good boy, the dog thought I was talking to him. So I changed it to Good Girl and started calling her Harriet.
So does this not give him like some kind of has it transformed him? I mean,
no, he is a boy. He's definitely
he's
a boy,
still a boy, but he's a boy called Harriet.
Well, no, he's a boy called Harriet. Yeah, he is, but he was called Harry. Obviously, Harriet's the opposite to Harry, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, because we have
right.
to say good girl, we have to say Harriet. I mean, I know the dog doesn't know Harry. It's not a girl's name, but you know what I mean.
No, I'm with you. That's lovely. Jackie, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Bye-bye. Ah, dear, but the nights fly by in that house. 0191 488 3188. Loved that. Right, third clue. Remember, I'm going to give you your last clue in about 10 minutes. Clue number 1. This greatest hitster and his band sang of this Mull in Kintyre. This greatest hitster and his band sang of this Mull in Kintyre. Second clue. This greatest hit band are rubbish. This greatest hit band are rubbish. Third clue. This greatest hitster is named after 2 toilets. This greatest hitster is named after 2 toilets. 3 clues down. One more clue to come. One more clue to come. And there is something massive and very cool that links them all together. You've got to work out what that is, okay? Have a think, and having thunk, then you can give us a call. Getting as many of you on air as we possibly can. Got this one from Anonymous. Had 2 anonymous emails now. One says, about the lady that was on before, I feel very guilty because I chose not to have an injection and caught COVID, and my husband was in hospital for 11 weeks and came very close to dying because he has a lung issue, and it was my fault. I brought it home and gave it to him, and if I could change anything, it would be that. Anonymous, another anonymous. I've been working on COVID-19 sites around Newcastle for 6 months now, and we've just been told we won't have a job in 3 months as the company we work for lost the contract. I got both injections about a month ago, and I got them to protect myself and others. I was called stupid for getting them by others. I was made to feel like I've done something wrong by getting them. It doesn't help that people I work with on the site don't really care about others or get it to stay safe. I have another job lined up. You can only take so much BS from people. That's from Anon, and thank you very much for that. About politicians and stuff, BP says, or BL, I beg your pardon, says, "Hi, Alan. The clue is in the hair. He's chaos personified." That's Boris he's talking about. And I cannot argue with that at all. Let's move on. We have Edwin, who is in Gateshead. Hi, Edwin.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
I've got a couple of things. I'll try and be quick, and I've got a lot of people waiting.
Neighbours,
first of all, it's the Jolly Bowman pub, where I've gone run there with a dog, taking a dog run, but there's always glass there. But I picked it up the day, like I went around with a carrier bag and a brush and a shovel and picked it up. But it's always gone there. But anyway, I picked it up and I picked a glass up that was plastic, so I hope they can stop making plastic glasses there. But, I use plastic glasses, to try and stop that happening. Another thing, the car park at Whitley Bay is a machine one now, one that they use for card machines. Molasters and I use that, she doesn't trust them.
Right,
the road, the lights are out on the Cross Road. I've been trying to get that put right. And I was on the other week about unit trusts and that.
Yes.
Well, historically, because you're on about people trying to find ways to save money and that.
Yeah.
Historically, if you put £1,000 of a unit trust tracker over a 30-year period, it would return 90 grand. So it's not bad for £1,000.
Yeah,
now you're asking how much you would make over that length of time.
Yeah.
But and about the football, I think I hope we'll win on Tuesday.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like you. I didn't like the style of the way they're playing, but I think Jordan Henderson is shocking. I'm just hoping he doesn't get a first team place. They've got to have Grealish in there and people like that attack. I mean, every time he gets the ball, he gives it away somewhat to the opposition.
Well, the thing that I noticed, can you remember when Ray Wilkins used to play for England? I used to call him the crab because as soon as he got the ball, he was looking behind him where he could pass it to. And I always thought the whole point of a midfield is to supply balls forward. You know,
when he's getting the ball, he's running off players. He's a lazy player. I don't know how he's getting it. How he's getting Liverpool captaincy? Because it frustrates me. When he scored a ball, he's like a Bennett and wet his pants. He wasn't sure if it was him or not. He's getting 50 caps and he hasn't getting over 50 caps. Hasn't getting the goal yet.
Right.
But how's he getting in even England setup? They have got to put him on Tuesday. If he comes in on Tuesday, we're going to get beat. They've got to put a full-strength squad out.
Who would you have in there then? I mean, are you happy with Stones?
He's Connie, Harry Kane.
Mings?
There's few, but just him, I've just got a great with him. He's just, he's just a shocking player. He's really shocking player. But I'm just hoping we'll win anyway on Tuesday. But all the best anyway with the following of the night hours and I wish you all the well. Best out. Yeah.
Thanks, Edward. Appreciate it.
See you later, mate.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. Oh, that's just nice. 0191 488 3188. Now, I have to tell you that one of the things that I really enjoy doing, and I've mentioned Sea Houses because I've been there twice in about 4 weeks, which is twice more than I normally go in a year. Because I'm usually only there if I'm doing a show or we've got some work reason to be there. But I really like Sea Houses. And mentioned a few weeks ago that I had their seafood platter from the seafood stall down on the quayside, and it was extraordinarily good, except for one sea creature that I just never want to come across again. But what I really like doing at Sea Houses is if you get chips at all, you know how sometimes you're left with a few scraps? It's usually the chunky ones that by the time they've cooled down, they're just hard little... With those, you get out the car, because usually you're in the car or sitting on a seat, you stand up next to where the seagulls all sit, which is near the main car park, and you just hoy them up in the air. Just throw them up in the air. You'll be surprised if a single one lands on the floor, because the seagulls go berserk for them. It's just a very cool thing. And I only mention that because Nicola in Sunderland is talking about a seagull. Hello, Nicola.
Hi, Ellen.
Hello, darling.
Hi.
So what's your story about a seagull then?
Right, so me and my boyfriend went to Edinburgh last Friday.
All right, lovely. Love Edinburgh.
It was lovely. It was beautiful. So
good.
On the Saturday, we drove to Glasgow.
Oh, brilliant. Even better, right.
So we were like in traffic.
Uh-huh.
So there were seagulls like above us.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them dropped some bread. So they swooped down. So his car hit one of them. So and anyway, it was okay though, the seagull.
Right.
So on the Sunday, we went in Edinburgh, and we got like this roast hog sandwich shop.
Uh-huh.
So it was like a sandwich each.
Right.
So me being greedy, opened mine. So I'm walking along, I took a bite of it, and it was lovely, by the way. And
sounds it.
So anyway, I just felt something land bang on the side of my head, and knocked my glasses off. Like my glasses went flying.
Oh.
I just grabbed the sandwich off it, the full sandwich. So, well, I did get a shock. My boyfriend, it's something what would happen to him normally.
Right.
So he started laughing, right? But I did think it was funny. The street was full of people, but I don't think any of them dared laugh. So I was just looking in the shop window, and then I went, my glasses. So my boyfriend picked my glasses up, and then when I turned around, they must have realised that was okay, and everyone was just laughing. But yeah, it was a right shock.
So did it take the whole sandwich? I mean, apart from one bite.
The full sandwich. But the man who had the little shop, he waved us over and he gave us another sandwich.
Oh, that's sweet of him. That wasn't necessary. That's lovely of him. That's nice. That's the Scots for you.
Apart from the seagulls, the people were lovely, mind.
Yeah, no, I bet. I just think seagulls are completely bodacious. Living on the Scottish borders, if you go ever, Because you'd have had to drive past it, I guess, to get to Edinburgh. Or did you go up on a train?
No, I was drove.
You drove. So you'd go past Berwick. If ever you should visit the McDonald's, which is just off the Morrison's roundabout, that you've got to turn left to go on the Edinburgh Road, the seagulls, they're the size of turkeys. They're huge. And all they do is they patrol the McDonald's car park. And you know how at the end of every meal people go, I've still got some chips left, chuck them on the floor. I've got a bit of burger left, on the floor. They're just, eventually, in 5 or 10 years' time, they're going to be the size of dodos, which are like human size. They're monsters. And what they do is they fly about. When they see somebody eating in a car, they land on your bonnet and stare at you.
Yeah, I've seen it. They've done that before, yeah.
And if you stare at them, eventually you find yourself going, you can have a chip. You can't help yourself. They're staring at, I'm going to have to give them a chip. And as soon as you open the window, it's mayhem. So it's seagulls, they're amazing things. But just to be able to swoop down, I'm going to knock her glasses off so she can't see me. And then I'm going to grab that buddy. Wow, from about 30 feet high, he worked that one out. Amazing.
It must have been watching us. It definitely was watching us. It just swooped down on us. It hit the side of my head and my glasses went flying.
Boom.
But it was funny.
Yeah, it's only funny it's only funny because you got a second sandwich. Wouldn't it have been funny if he'd just gone without it and you'd said, okay, just go down with it. Hey, brilliant. Lovely stuff, Nicola. Thank you for coming on. Good call.
Thank you.
Thanks, love. Bye-bye. There you go. What a shame. Seagulls. Oof, I think we've all had a bit of something with a seagull. Hancock. Oh, dear. Mark from Thornaby. His views. Hello, Mark.
Hi.
Hello, mate. Good to hear from you. Your views on the Matt Hancock thing. Where do you stand on all of this malarkey, then?
Yeah, I just think when it comes to the 19th of July, if it gets put back anymore, I just think everybody in the country is just going to be up in arms and say, sod this. It'd be like...
Do you think that we're really in a lockdown now? Because I know people are saying, we're still going to be wary. I just think everybody's doing what they want now, aren't they? I mean, I've been, like I mentioned, I've been up the coast. There were thousands of people in the only time they wore masks are when they went in the shop.
I think from the 19th, I think that's when...
that's when it's going to go crackers, you think?
That's when hopefully the nightclubs and all that.
I see where you're
back to normal.
Right. Is that what you've missed the most? Making a few shapes?
That's what I missed the most, yeah.
Right.
Going into Goldie, like the Goldies and Cuba.
Right. Hey, well, the fingers crossed. I would love to think that it would be back. They're talking about possibly putting it off till the 19th, and you mentioned the 19th. Some people had hoped it would be the 5th. I cannot see that happening.
I'll just say, anyone that's listening, if it gets to round about the 19th, and put it back, just ignore it. Do what you want. Want to get past the 19th, just do what you want.
But you don't think people are already doing that?
Ignore the rules, what they put out. Ignore them. Just do what you want past the 19th. They've had the time. So
they've had the time. Now it's Mark's time. Get him back in the clubs. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand. All right, Mark. Thank you very much. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Where do you stand with this? It's difficult to be on Matt Hancock's side. Not because of what he did, because there's many a man being tempted by a gorgeous face, or chose a gorgeous face over the one of his beautiful wife. I just hate cheats. Loathe, despise cheats for the pain they cause unnecessarily. All he had to do was have that conversation to say that he didn't want to be with her anymore before all of this started. or when he first got an inkling that there might be something kicking there. There's no excuse. And all of the stuff, whether he was good, whether he was bad, whatever he did, whether he was causing a national scandal or whatever, depending on what people think of him, the first thing I thought about was his wife's listening to this. And instead of getting on his knees begging for forgiveness for being the, insert your own swear word there, that he's been, and begging forgiveness from his children for the harassment they're going to take over the next 2 to 3 months, 6 months, year. Instead he was, well, the people have been great and we've done this and we've done that and aren't we really great? No, not accepting any of that. Not after what you've just done to an innocent woman and your own children. And yet they're the ones that just get a casual mention. Well, I'm sorry to my loved ones and family. What does that mean? Because you've been cheating on them and going behind their back and lying to them. You mean that? Oh, no time for cheats. 0191 488 3188. Right. Caitlin is with us, and she is in Ashington. Hiya, Caitlin.
Hello.
Hello. What you got for me then, darling?
Well, I just thought I'd talk about things you do for love. There's stuff I do for my goddaughter account.
Right. Like what then?
Basically, last year during lockdown, WWE had these trading cards that came out.
Yes.
I was the official card sorter.
So you did you have this was it a sticker book thing?
No, it was like a file with slots for all the different cards to go in. So she had her own, and then I was buying tins of cards off Amazon for her, like the good godmother that I am.
Did you fill it? Did you manage to fill it?
Nearly. I bought my own file to put the swaps into. So I started collecting with her. She's got a new craze now, which is Pokemon cards.
Oh. You're gonna be card queen forever at this rate. Then have you done the same thing?
It took 3 weeks.
Well, that's pretty good because I can just remember a conversation with this guy who said that he'd spent something like £800 on cards, buying them en masse on the internet, and he thinks that there was no such card as. There was one card in particular that he'd bought. He'd even gone on the net saying, I need this card. And then all of a sudden the internet went, you can't get that card. I don't believe this card exists. And then, of course, one person on the Isle of Wight goes, I've got the card. And everybody, ah! So they must release fewer of certain cards, I'm guessing.
I'm not too sure, but I found this app that's like Wish, where you can get them really cheap. So I've bought a box off there.
Right.
That's the one that took 3 weeks to store.
Oh, that's all
right. And then I've ordered another one for her. But there's Pokemon that even I've never heard of, and I've had all the DS games. I'm like, when did these guys come out?
I think it's as soon as they wanted to sell more cards, they'll just create another 20 Pokemon. I think that seems to be how it works.
There's over 800, I think.
What?
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's a lot.
I was shocked. When I was little, it was only up to 150.
Yeah. Because I remember, from my generation, it was football cards. Me parents' generation, it was either cards that they had in tea, like Rington's tea, Typhoo tea. They would have, if you bought a box of tea, you'd get 3 cards, and it would be British birds. There's the thrush, the blue, and you're thinking, really? Or here's a cricketer. Or here's a footballer from the 1950s. And you collected the sets. My generation, it was football stickers, and you got, during the World Cup, you got all the foreign teams and England. Or during the season, it was all the teams that were in the first division, which was the Premiership before it was called it. And then you'd be at school, I've got 3 of these. I'd swap them for and you try to, make up the ones that you didn't have. They're money. They're absolute money traps. They
are, honestly, but I'm the official card sorter now. It's my job whenever I babysit.
But are you getting into it a bit?
I am, yes, because at the moment, every time I'm sorting the cards, I'm like, okay, right, so there's about 4 copies of that. I'll have one of them.
There you go.
Then you can play with the rest.
Brilliant. That's good.
But yeah, it's a little thing. It keeps me going.
They're fun. Do you know there was 2 types of card that came out in bubble gums when I was a kid? And I think they must be really rare now because I've never seen nor heard of them since I was a kid. One was called War of the Worlds. We called them Mars Attacks. And they were fairly graphic cartoon cards of Martians attacking us and things from War of the Worlds and beams blowing people up. And you're going, on a card for a kid? It seemed quite radical. And the other one was American Civil War, and there were cartoons just the same, but with people getting shot dead and blood coming out of heads and stuff.
We had that coming out of bubblegum.
But the kids loved it because it was kind of gruesome. It
was Pogs when I was little.
Pogs, oh, bless you.
I'm proper 90s on
Oh, my goodness. That's brilliant. Anything else while you're on then, Caitlin? That was fab.
No, not off the top of my head, no.
All right. Hey, good hearing from you. Thanks for sharing. There's Caitlin. So what was your thing? Oh, we should do that maybe as a challenge next week because I bet that one would run and run. Let's talk to John Parr, Lake John Parr. But I'm going to give you the 4 clues first so we can get some of you hopefully winning this. The first clue, this greatest hitster and his band sang of this mull in Kintyre. Second clue, this greatest hit band are rubbish. Third clue, this greatest hitster is named after 2 toilets. And the fourth clue, this greatest hitster has a backing band called the Pips. You've actually heard this greatest hitster on the show tonight. This greatest hitster has a backing band called the Pips. 4 clues down. All of the artists have the same thing in common. What is it? Whip out that what's it while John Parr talks about the work he's done with Meat Loaf and Tina Turner.
Girls, you just wouldn't believe this. Robson walks into the room. What should he see but a semi-naked John Parr? Hello, John.
Hello, wearing nothing but a smile. How you doing?
And as he bent over, the smile got wider. How the hell did you get together with Meat Loaf?
We met at a Weight Watchers convention.
That's not what he's just told me, man.
Meat Loaf and I go back 2 or 3 years. Really, he heard some of my songs in New York and asked me whether I'd write some songs for his record. And really the relationship grew from there. I went over and stayed with him and his family, and we became friends over the years, and this is just something we always said we were going to do. And
you've been a bit of a jammy so-and-so, mate. Now, let's be fair. Here's this Yorkshireman that nobody in England's heard of. All of a sudden, everybody had to think twice and say, is it number 2? I don't believe this. And then, of course, you were with Tina Turner at the time. First of all, to be able to get a tour with Tina Turner.
Oh boy, I mean, 40 nights with Tina, eh?
Thought you were looking a bit pale.
Bit worn out. Oh man, that was probably the greatest learning experience ever. She's without doubt one of the best.
Learning experience? You mean musically, I trust?
Unfortunately, yes.